Welcome to the From the 108 podcast, starring the drunk uncles of White Sox Twitter. He's a Twitter like whore, an Instagram thirst trap, and your grandma's guilty pleasure, Beef Loaf. A West Coast attitude in a decidedly Midwest body, My Sock Summer. And your host, he's sharing obscure music thoughts to give you time to hit the bathroom, Teresa E.
Thank you, Cornsey, and welcome to the From the 108 podcast. Get ready for some baseball, booze, and bullshit. And remember the drinking rules. If Beef Loaf says allegedly, or that he wrote a blog about that, you drink. If My Sock Summer mentions his time on the West Coast or doesn't know a player, especially if it's in his own plan, you drink. If I swear or say here's the thing, you drink. And if Josh Nelson happened to sell us out and go on the CHGO podcast before ours to talk about off-season plan projects, finish your drink.
Yes.
Also, you can make any of us shut the fuck up for 5 minutes by tipping $5. You can get 5 minutes of solo My Sock Summer for $1,000,000 space bucks. And you can make all of us drink with a tip of $1.08. And of course, I want to know what you guys are drinking. Beef Loaf, what are you drinking tonight, buddy?
Oh, baby, I just broke a 69-hour fast, which is nice. And I did it with a little pasta and some red wine. So I'm going to stay on the red wine train. No free ads. I'm not telling you what it is, but I'm going to stick right there. I feel like I'm in a sweet spot. We might have a long podcast tonight. I got to be in for the long haul, so no maker's mark to put me down like MSS said last week. I was drinking like a cheerleader, and it did kick my ass.
Oh, dude, you guys.
Yeah, I was definitely a little worried about what to drink for this week because I was like, this could go long. And then I talked shit about Josh immediately, so he might just leave, and then it'll be much shorter. But,
could be.
But My Sock Summer, what are you drinking, buddy?
So tonight, I'm drinking a new. I want to just have single bottles now, but I actually have two, so we're still in the
can't figure it out.
He wants to have. He
can't control it. He can't control it. It's two.
But
I have two.
They're like fucking a gremlin got wet, and now he's got two of them. Nothing he can do about it.
Went to Benny's and picked up 2 bottles of New Rift bourbon. I don't know if you guys have had New Rift. I hadn't until I was extremely hammered at Sox Park, and our guy Jason, the head bum in charge, HBIC, who's getting married this weekend. Shout out! Cheers!
Congrats, baby!
Cheers, Jason.
Yeah, buddy.
Peace up.
Slid over a little bit of a taste of these the New Rift single barrel, and oh Lord, is it good! So tonight I'm going to do that. Luckily, I did not plan to be drinking a lot tonight, especially with the bottle selection. One is 113 proof. One is 100 proof. So if we get to my plan tonight, just know that I made it.
Congrats.
How about you, Teresa? What are you drinking tonight, my friend?
I'm just going simple. Just got a bottle of Tito's here. Just there's not much left in it, so we're gonna get rid of that.
Beautiful.
Just clearing bottles out from
do.
the bar. You know, that's what this time of year is for.
It is.
You know, we finished the season. I'm not drinking beer really, except the one I had lunch, and then
not too bad.
And getting to the liquor cabinet, getting through those things. You know, but yeah, overall, I think I'm making good progress through the bar. Beef, how you doing tonight, buddy?
You know what? I'm good. And before I get into my banter, I want to catch up on a few comments. I can't find the comment right now. Someone asked if it's going to cost $8 to watch the show. Absolutely not. All you got to do is press the like button. For absolutely free. Then Singer Socks asked, was Beef Loaf doing the Trump jerking off moves dance to start the show? Yes, I was. All right. Very good eye there. And then about your original comment about Josh Nelson, Teresi Baloney says that we were cucked by Herb Lawrence. That is also correct.
Who hasn't? Well. Who hasn't?
I'm doing fine, guys, but I have a little bit of a problem. I occasionally go on Twitter, and occasionally people mention me on Twitter. And this past week after the podcast, I thought we had a great podcast, a spirited debate about a variety of things. We discussed the fan experience. A lot of positive feedback, especially on Brewhand Luke's section. He had a lot of great ideas about how to improve the beer selection, how to improve the craft cave. But Jimmy Vanicki, who a longtime friend of the show, love Jimmy Vanicki, is a great guy, posted a video, and it was really a beef slander campaign. So we need to go into it. We got to cut down the 3 pieces here. He was sincere with it too, because he told me how much he loved me. And then he shot me down 3 different times. Number one, he said, first, I'm killing horses. I didn't kill any horses. I just said that they should be extinct, not exist, because they don't matter. Yeah. Okay, that's let's just clarify that. And I think everyone agreed with me. I don't think anyone. No, you guys didn't come back at me that I could remember.
I mean, number 2, I like horses.
Like MSS, big horse guy. Number 2, he got on me for firing Gene Honda, and he brought up your point, Treasy. Honda doesn't need to be fired. Just needs to be coached up, reassigned, given a different thing to say. It's basically his thing.
I'm working on a blog about that. First, I'm working on is Chief a Werewolf blog. But Gene Honda will be right after that.
He doesn't wear silver, only gold.
That's suspicious.
There's a lot going on there. I'll get into it. We'll get there. We don't need to do that right now.
Well, anyway, he was sympathetic to Gene Honda. I mean, that's the straight down the middle. That, you know what, people just weren't ready for the fire Gene Honda thing. Okay, sometimes we do a lot of outside the box things, but when it's outside even of our box, I know the response I'm going to get, even though it was totally accurate. And the last thing he tells me, he compares me. He plays the audio of MSS and I going back and forth when we're talking about my fan experience thing, where I felt like MSS was overly protective of the White Sox. Now, I told him, no, you stop, and I'm going to talk right now. And so I was yelling a little bit, whatever. He compared me to Dan Bernstein. You know, he said, now a couple things with this. Number one, you know what, this show needs my energy, okay? I bring a lot of energy.
Here's
MSS also brings a lot of energy, so
that's
good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yum. Appreciate you. Bless you. Number 2, you should be happy to tune into a show where the hosts aren't doing boilerplate bullshit and the arguments are real. That was a real fucking argument. All right, we were at each other. We just totally disagreed about that shit. All right, and we still disagreed. We walked today and we were still talking about it, not in heated tones.
No,
but you know, we just.
I can just imagine you sweaty motherfuckers slap fighting at the top of the hill.
We couldn't breathe, so the argument wasn't as good because we had just run up the hill. And finally, lastly, Jimmy, stop treating MSS like he's one of your children. He's just as big a jagoff as I am. Not as big a jagoff as Treasy, but let us hash it out, baby. Sometimes that happens. You know, we get into it, we get heated on the show, we bring energy. That's why, look, if we don't have that energy and we don't have that passion, why the fuck should you even show up and watch the show? I see other podcasts, I hear other podcasts, and I think to myself, they got no energy. They're fucking dead. The 3 of us can't wait to get on these microphones and talk to you and yell at each other every week. Yep. And I want it to stay that way.
Did you have questions for us, Beef, or did you just want me to agree that MSS is babied by the internet?
Oh, yeah, you know, I mean, I basically get no shit whatsoever. You know, like no one bothers
we don't get text messages immediately after the show from Slim Mick talking shit about My Sox Summer Concert.
Not only do we get not immediately after.
It's the next day.
About 6 days later sometimes. And it'll be like, oh, great ad read, jag off. And it's like, bro, I don't even remember the ad read at this point. You know,
you don't remember it right after you did it.
And then so I listened back or something, you know, on the rare occasion, and I'm like, oh, it was actually pretty good. Go fuck yourself, man.
I mean, to close that point up, though, about MSS getting babied a little bit, you're right. He does get absolutely clobbered in the comments and on the internet. But none of it is about the... None of it is about the strength of his arguments. He gets left alone. I feel like we're the ones who get more shit about our specific arguments, Treasy. He gets messed with because he can't pronounce words, and by all means.
Maybe he's right. I don't think that's $1 million space bucks, Mr. Hand, but I appreciate the gesture.
How about we give MSS 2 minutes to respond? Go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Take your time.
Here, the only thing is, and it's not even fun now. It's not even fun to say it because we talked it out already. And it's just like, my only point in that whole thing was not defending the Sox. I was defending the fact that if you see something twice, it's new. If you see something 70 times, it's not as new. So it also doesn't mean that the Sox don't need to update their intro. They definitely need a little bit of more intro, a little bit more interaction with the screens and all that stuff at the park. They do not do a very good job doing that. And I wasn't complaining. I wasn't saying, oh, you're totally wrong. I'm just saying, just because you change it doesn't mean it's going to make it fresh the 70th time you see it, because you might be like, yeah, this is kind of lame. But also, I got into that stupid diatribe about like all the old people that don't want things to change, that still want the goddamn Pirates of the Caribbean theme, you know, fucking intro out there. So you're fighting against all these different things. we talked about hiring people that would be good. Apparently, they hired a guy that was the Bulls guy, or he did something for NBA somewhere. I don't know what happened to that guy, but I don't think that he's created this new intro. I don't think that that's what's happening, because originally when that guy got hired, people were like, we don't want that. This is baseball. We need to be traditional. Well, now we had, the Liam thing was probably like the baby step. They're like, let's do the baby step. And now, so we'll see. Maybe they'll come back and do that. But I know it's a popular thing to say now, but both things can be true. You can say, hey, it could be stale later, but yes, they do need to change. So I'm glad we went like one of these,
Yeah, we did. We get the
when we
the
can't
handshake,
breathe, and we're embraced, and we're chest to chest.
Drooling,
we're like, "Grr." I'm like, please don't have a heart attack because you're still too fat for me to take down this hill.
You just roll me down, baby.
On the other side, but I want to stop you before you get shot out into Halstead.
All right,
in the immortal words of one of my favorite lawyers, Jerry Callow, everything that guy just said was bullshit. All right. Beef, you got anything else for us?
Anymore.
No, sir.
My Sock Summer, how you doing tonight, buddy? We haven't heard from you yet.
I know. I haven't said a word or nothing. Guys, I don't know if you noticed, but I teased something in the intro tonight. We have a brand new product on our website right now. Treasy. Oh, yeah. Now, not only is this ball beautiful, white, and has a Christmas logo, it also does this. Treasy, get rid of that beautiful bean footage. Oh,
wait, what?
Oh, yeah. Boom, it changes colors, baby.
Woo!
Not only does it light up, it changes colors. Now, I haven't played with them a lot. I know that's weird. I haven't played with the ball a lot, but I don't know if you can make it stay on one color or it constantly changes fucking colors. So it's probably going to be like this. Like, this is going to be the most awesome ornament you've ever had in your tree. So if you go to our website, you go to the right-hand side and you click on the fucking merch shop logo, you can buy this motherfucker right now. Now,
look at that.
Not only can you do that, you can go in and you can buy this plus an ugly Christmas sweater for the low price for $49.99 shipped directly to your fucking door. If you want just this, $19.99 plus shipping. Now, get over there. We don't have that many. We don't have that many fucking things to sell, okay? There's very limited numbers, very limited sizes on the sweaters. So get over there and do that. You want to do that immediately because you need this on your tree. I know most people are putting their trees up this weekend. I heard Loaf might not be. The Noms put theirs up 3 days ago. Yeah. So, you might want to get out there and get going. But this is a fucking beautiful, beautiful
man, ornament. MSS. Well, that's the last we're going to hear from you.
Yeah, that's all I got to go. Treasy, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Let me get this up for you real quick. You got to get the 5 minutes going.
There we go. A little ticker.
There we go. Now you got to shut up. So Beef, I wanted to tell you though. I went to lunch today. Okay. I ate outside. Utensils, perfect temp. Perfect temp on those utensils.
It got warm too. It got in the 70s today. It was still perfect.
Didn't burn my hands or anything. It was lovely.
Incredible, man. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you that your hands have toughened up so that it can handle utensils, silverware in 72-degree weather. That is a big step up for you, my friend. That is a huge life improvement you achieved right there.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And then I was thinking to myself, you and I went to lunch not too long ago.
Yes.
On Monday. And we were sitting there enjoying some Arby's inside. Let me preface this. We are inside for this lunch.
We're at Ogilvy Station. We're in the food court.
We're in the food court at Ogilvy Station. And Beef looks over. He's like, hey, there's a bird on that table. Like literally it's like right inches from us. There's a bird perched on the table. And like a tiny bird, like a finch. It's not like a crow showed up. Yeah. But like there's a little bird there. And Beef's fucking first instinct isn't to like just look at it or do anything. He reaches out his hand to try and get the bird to land in his hand, like he's some kind of animal whisperer. Like I don't know what happened. I don't know what you expected to happen. Like, did you expect like this is my new pet? Like he was going to land? if it would have landed in your hand, would you have just left? Would you have left lunch and been like, I'm going home?
I would have continued talking with you and let it just like sit there in my hand. I reach out my hand like that very gently, and the bird, not interested, flies away. And I turn around, and you said explicitly, it would have been the best day of my life if that bird bit you. Let's see. I said you were a big jag-off in the beginning of the show. That's absolutely correct.
You know what's funny is that like I'm looking at that bird, and all I could think is attack. Not even like. Not even thinking about the repercussions. Like, I'm sitting right there, too. Like, it could come and attack me. This could be the start of the movie Birds. I have no idea. But if it would have went at you, I would have been, even if the rest of humanity would have fallen apart because of this, I was ready to cheer on that bird pecking at your face. And I think you could have handled it. Like, it wasn't like it was a hawk. And like I think you would have been
small. It was like a finch or something like that.
I think it would have gotten like 2 good bites before you crushed it and possibly ate it. But like, I absolutely was sitting there just like with that on my mind. And then when you reached out, I was like, oh yes. Just mistake that pinky finger for something delicious and just bite right into it.
Terrible. I love that you and you're like, let's get together for lunch. We haven't gotten together for lunch in years because of COVID and everything. It's like, okay, let's meet up for lunch. We decide to go to Arby's. Now, we're in the middle of 108 weight loss, right? You order first. You get the roast beef sandwich, half pound of meat. Half fucking pound of meat and fries and a gigantic root beer or something, right?
Yeah.
So I'm up next. The pressure's on, right? I'm like, man, you know what? I'm going to keep it healthy. No French fries. But I did get 2 sandwiches. Diet Coke, though, Teresi. Diet Coke. I cut back on it.
And the one sandwich was what? The beef and cheddar?
It was beef and cheddar, and then the original chicken, which is basically a fried chicken sandwich.
Yeah, I was smart. Because I went with the lean meat. That is the sandwich. There's a little tiny bun on there. That's a low carb. That's a low carb one.
You were doing keto. Forget the fries.
Don't worry about the fries. Don't worry about the fries. Don't worry about the root beer.
What about the beer?
Also, root beer, no caffeine. I mean, like, I'm
great.
I'm basically the healthiest guy you know. I mean, like, it's where we're landing on this. I think I'm extremely healthy. I'm losing weight rapidly. But you know what? Beef, I walked like 50,000 steps.
You did, yeah. You showed me your phone, and you had a lot of mileage on there. Let's catch up on some drinks right here. So, Little Yumper said, of course, MSS would have merch related to balls. Yes, you would.
Cheers.
Thank you, Yump. Appreciate you, brother. White Sox Sal says, MSS drinking less than 5 bourbons? GFY drink. So thank you, Sal. Appreciate the drink. Only 2 today. And then let me mosey
He only
on.
wanted 1, but he ended up with 2.
Mosey on down. And Baloney says, Arby's lunch money. So thank you, Baloney. Appreciate the Arby's lunch money. Ooh, we're off to a good start.
Comments, please tell me what kind of meat is Arby's made from. I would like to know.
5 minutes again? Another 5 minutes?
Oh, you're good. I just needed to get to it. Why don't you just calm down?
Jesus.
And why don't you give us an ad read while you're at it, buddy?
All right. I'll come right out the gate. The holiday season is upon us. Winter is almost here, and you need to have a reliable transportation during the long snow-filled winter days. And Mazda of Orland Park is here to help. Right now, Mazda of Orland Park has 88 vehicles in stock, ready to sell to you, the 108 listener. All sorts of vehicles that are highly reliable and highly rated by people who know that shit. You can't go wrong with any of their vehicles, new or used. Mazda stands behind their vehicles 110%. Maybe you don't need a new vehicle. Maybe you just need new shoes on that ride. Mazda is still running their buy 3, get 1 free tire deal that has been so successful. And remember, they will price match those tires so you can be confident that you are getting the lowest price. Interested and want to know more? Head on over to www.mazdaoforlandpark.com and get to know their full lineup. Give them a follow on Twitter at ZoomZoomNation to get updates on all things Mazda. Mazda of Orland Park, home of the Zoom Zoom Nation. 8910 West 159th Street, Orland Park, 708-444-3200. Zoom Zoom.
All right, man. Now it's time. We got to bring in one of our bestest friends. He's going to join us tonight. He's the host of Sox Machine Podcast, the co-host of the From a Certain Point of View podcast, which I know a little bit about. He's a contributor on Bernsey and Holmes. He's a member of the IBWAA NCBWA, and he's a BMF besides. Welcome to the show, Josh Nelson. What's up, Josh?
Oh,
I totally forgot I am still part of the Internet Baseball Writers Association. I haven't done anything with that in years. And
It's on your bio, man.
But the credit card, the renewals are probably still going, baby. You probably have auto renewal. You're fucked. You're in there forever. You can't.
So
quit.
I bought a Forever subscription when I signed up because the Forever subscription was $75. And I'm thinking, okay, sure. I've got it forever. And that was like 7 years ago.
I say forever ago.
Hey, it's only like it's less than $11 a year at this point. You're getting
exactly.
your money's worth.
Exactly. What is up, gentlemen?
Oh
Going
man,
down.
Nothing. The commenters are on me now. They're saying that the meat at Arby's is horse meat. Look, if it's horse meat, then I'm back in on horses. They don't need to be extinct. Okay.
it's sushi grade horse though.
Yeah, the trainers of the Kentucky Derby, if their horse doesn't even bother placing, it's straight to Arby's.
I saw the lash marks on Terezi's Big Montana or whatever he had there.
Yeah.
It's not the Big Montana anymore. It's something else, right?
That is disappointing. It's not the Big Montana anymore. I don't know why they stopped calling it the Big Montana.
Because
think-
people got all PC and they're like, you can't
How
call
is
it biggie size. You can't call it super size. You can't do that. You don't want big. You just got to say quarter pound and beef. Or whatever,
They have a
That's
sandwich
just the way it
called
is.
the Meat Mountain, which is every single piece of meat that they serve at Arby's.
MSS is right. The
I've
mountain
not had
is
it.
lean, so it's not
Oh,
considered
okay.
obese, right? Right?
Right?
MSS?
Mountain is like
When I think
of mountain,
mountains, I think
beating
small.
people up.
Strong.
Climbing mountain, going out and doing stuff.
Yeah,
Listen,
yeah,
that's what I
course.
think.
exactly what I'm thinking. Yes.
Man, I can't. Josh is already
Hills?
angry with me.
Hills
before we
too big.
Even get this started. He's
A
not
hill
gonna
is
like my
too
plan.
big.
You were
We don't
talking
wanna call
smack.
it we don't want to call it the mound round of
That's
horse
right.
meat. No, that's
Yeah.
offensive.
that was a great nickname too, man.
It was.
But
Barkley was
the
the
Meat
best.
Mountain could work great as a porn name, and works
It
great
might
for a
already.
sandwich
MSS,
name.
let us know.
I'll
Check
let
into
you know.
that.
It doesn't sound very crafty.
Might have to go
Smoked-
mainstream. I'm sorry.
Smoked
friend.
meat, seasoned meat sounds a lot better than Meat Mountain.
See,
Meat
this makes
Mountain-
sense. This makes sense. Super Size got tanked because of that Super Size Me movie. That
Yeah,
makes
right.
sense.
Yes.
I don't know why the Big Montana went away. I want to know why the Big Montana went away.
Maybe it's because it came in that plastic case as opposed to the other stuff. Because I remember the first time I got the Big Montana, it was in a plastic.
Oh yeah.
Like what they put salads in now. It was like full of roast beef and
You're
buns.
talking about a McDLT. That's what you're talking about there.
No.
No, it used to come in a big plastic thing.
Oh,
It's
came in
still
a
the
big
same
plastic thing.
size. MSS.
Yeah.
Now they just put it in a like a horse feeder for me, and I just wrap it around my head.
It was enormous. The sandwich was enormous.
It's the new
Absolutely.
serving method.
Arby's sandwiches are not half bad. The best thing about Arby's though, curly fries. Best fucking thing that they have. Like best thing they got going for them, curly fries. They are the best. The best goddamn curly fries.
I didn't eat fries, man.
Great.
I'm trying to keep it healthy.
I know.
They got good
Just-
cheese
just
sticks
two
too.
sandwiches.
I'm not.
They do.
I didn't
Those
have
are
them
good
because I'm
sandwiches.
so healthy, but they do have good cheese sticks.
That's right.
All right, so we were going to just get into the off-season plan project, which we will get to in a little bit. But, then some news happened. Pedro Grifol becomes the new manager of the Chicago White Sox, which is something. He's definitely a human coach, from what I understand.
Has a pulse.
But I want to kick it to you guys and see what you guys think. And Josh, I'll start with you if you want to give your initial thoughts of the hire and maybe of what you heard today.
Yeah, I've got great practice with this spiel. I'm cautiously optimistic about Pedro Grifol. What gives me hope is Rick Hahn coming out today during the introduction press conference and laying out what the process was. And they started with 30 names, and they cut it down to 8 that they wanted to do first interviews with. And Pedro Grifol was the second interview that they had overall. And they came away very impressed. And after the 8 interviews, decided that, you know what? You deserve a second interview. And after the second interview, how about you fly down to Glendale, Arizona, and you get a chance to meet face-to-face with Jerry Reinsdorf? What's a little unclear is just like how long have the White Sox known that Pedro Grifol was going to be the next White Sox manager? Because if they've known for like more than a week, then they have made suckers like me worried that, oh my gosh, this job's going to come down to Kevin Lawn and Ozzie Guillen. which may have never been the case for the Chicago White Sox. But I'm cautiously optimistic. I like the things that he has said, but I am more encouraged in the process of how the White Sox came to the decision of hiring Pedro Grifol.
I like that they interviewed a lot of people, right? I think it's great that not because, oh man, I just want there to be a process. That's not why I care about that. Like when you're interviewing people, and especially when you're interviewing people from a competitor, the amount of information that you can get in those interviews is gold. You're not ever going to get that ever again. No one's going to be that honest with you, right? Like, you know, when you hear like GMs go, oh, I was talking to this other GM and we always share secrets. No, they don't. They share what they want you to hear. Like if you know someone who works at a competitor of yours, unless you get them extremely drunk, they're not going to tell you anything that is proprietary. Now, when you get someone in an interview, they're trying to prove their worth to you, right? They're trying to jump from being a bench coach or a hitting coach or whatever into that role. They're going to give you some goods. So yes, even if you know that this is your guy, hey, 2 weeks ago, we knew. Interview the guy from the Yankees. Absolutely interview the guy from the Yankees. Yeah. I love that they did that. Beef, what are some of your initial thoughts on this?
You know what? I want to start off like I've listened to a bunch of him. I listened to a podcast interview from the middle of last year. I listened to the presser. I listened to Josh's Spaces. I'm going to do this in wine tasting metaphor form. So let me start with the nose. The nose for me has a little bit of Ricky Renteria on it. When I get into tasting it, the body is overwhelming coachness like Pat Fitzgerald at Northwestern, who might not have a job much longer, with just a hint of understanding of modern baseball. That's kind of what I've taken away from what I've heard from Pedro Grifol so far. He said a lot of things, a lot of rah-rah things in the presser today. I came away pretty vanilla on the actual presser. As more stuff started coming out from sidebars afterwards and from additional discussions, you started to get a little more color on what was going on there. What I thought was funny, though, Treasy, is the whole consensus thing. And they brought it up again. That it was a consensus that Rick and Jerry and Kenny all liked this guy. And I figured out the reasons why. So for Jerry, he's kind of he's a baseball-y guy. And Jerry feels like he needs a baseball-y guy because much like Vito Corleone, he doesn't trust Tom Hagen, who is Rick Hahn, to do the baseball. He's a good lawyer, but he cannot be the boss of the family. So he does not trust him, right? So that's the reason he likes him. Now, Kenny is like Sonny Corleone. He wants a red ass in there. And Pedro is a red ass. Like I heard this podcast with him. They asked him about the unwritten rules. He did not go for, you know what, those are dumb or whatever. He went respect the game, respect the opponent, all that shit. So I'm very interested, and maybe we get to it after I continue this metaphor, how he might react to Tim Anderson when they first meet for the first time after all the shit that's gone down between KC and the White Sox. And finally, with Hahn, it feels like here's someone who will finally listen to my baseball strategies, who is in lockstep with the way I think about the game. And so I kind of have my guy. So I could see all the lenses. And that's, to me, that's neither good nor bad. But I do like you said, that they went through a lot of people. They got a lot of brain gain. And inevitably, Hahn was thrilled about it. I don't know that I care about Hahn being thrilled, but it's better than him being pissed. Like I would like them to be really excited about whoever the fuck the guy is. You know, the guy might not be good, but it might be like a Bears presser, Teresi, for these last few years after Lovey. They were excited about every single one of those coaches. None of them worked, but at least on day one, it feels exciting for them.
I will say to that for real quick that, Rick Hahn going like, oh, I'm very excited about this. This was my choice. I'm very excited about this. Rick Hahn, in his history with the Sox, has made about as good a choices as I do at exit at 4 a.m. So that doesn't help me out. But MSS, I want to ask you, particularly bouncing off of what Beef was talking about, how do you think a guy like this comes in and handles the culture that exists with the Sox? Because it sounded like last year and the year before, the Sox were very comfortable with their culture. And they had a togetherness. Even though they sucked this year, like they weren't at each other's throats after they got rid of Keuchel, they seem to have some kind of chemistry there. What do you think this guy is going to add or maybe subtract from that?
I mean, maybe he comes in and just to say, hey, listen, you guys are talented. and you're not playing up to your talent levels. And we need to shake some things up. And we're going to start, like he said this in the presser, we're going to start at the basics. We're going to be fundamentally sound on the field, which has got to make Tim Anderson just shake in his cleats. He's got to be like so fucking worried. He's like, God damn it, now I can't fuck up, or whatever. But
cheers, Shane.
Bless you, Shane. Thank you for the drink.
Guys, come in and thank you too. Good job. Shane, thanks for being I don't know if you're the first one, but thanks for buying that. God damn it, now I just lost my train of thought. Sometimes you come in to these situations and like these guys coming from last year and it being such a horrible year and such a down year, maybe a new challenge in something as stupid as this, like not making errors, like could maybe motivate these guys to be like, let's get together, maybe come together even closer on a team. And maybe finally getting rid of that clubhouse cancer, which is Jose Abreu, would fucking finally get this team to perform like you're supposed to, So, no, he did call out Jose and said that I think everybody wants Jose, obviously. Like Rick told him to say that so they could, they don't have to resign him and it won't be so bad. But I was a little taken aback, and I posted the 108 poll, the 108-minute poll on our Twitter, because I was like, I'm not feeling all that excited and I'm not feeling all that whatever. And I was just trying to check the pulse, and a lot of people were seemed like they're pretty excited about it. And then there was some more vocal people that were meh. But I did send around a tweet that our guy Scott Merkin said, and it was Han on the Grifol hire. You may see me smiling a little bit more than you have over the past year and gushing a little bit more than I have in the past year. And that's because it's a little difficult for me to contain the excitement that many of us feel. Now, I'm okay with it. Yes. And I am not going to repeat what I put in the text. So White Sox,
you should repeat that.
But this definitely, I should or shouldn't.
You should. Go ahead.
Okay. I go, this is what people that get cucked, and watch their wives get cucked. This is what they say. Okay. And it literally is, because you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm so excited. And then this is so exciting. I can't contain my excitement. Rick, we still need a starting pitcher. We still need a right fielder. We still need, I don't know if we need a right fielder. Sheets might be okay, might be serviceable.
We probably need a right fielder.
We need a bat. Definitely need a bat. I don't care if he plays second, he plays right field. I don't care if he fucking pitches. Get me a guy that can hit the fucking ball. Having a coach, well, as much as you want to believe that, Tony Russo was pulling this team down last year, and potentially he might have been doing like a tenth of it. The other 9/10 of that were just shit performances by players and not having players in the right positions, which is another thing that Han brought up today. We had a lot of players playing out of position. That's your job. Like, that was the one thing that you were supposed to do. Like, I don't want to be too hard on Han, but don't bring up your failures like in the middle of a glorious moment, and you can't contain your excitement. Like you're gushing and you're fucking, I don't know.
This guy will fix all my failures.
It's like, no, this is not going to be an end all be all. And because I hope that in their head, he's not saying, well, now it's all going to be fixed because Tony was just a big mean guy and he wasn't going to do what I wanted to do. I don't need to sign anybody. That is not the fucking case. We still need some goddamn people in this goddamn team. And maybe he can get it. Maybe now he's motivated to go out and sign the people because maybe he, like he blames White Sox fans on, wanted the team to fail with the guy that he didn't pick just to say, see, I told you, now I'm hiring my guy. Cheers.
Cheers, comic punk guy. So let's get into another piece of this. So like they did talk about the coaches a little bit today, and so it's Montoya is joining as the bench coach. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Katz is staying on. Do we know for sure if Hassler stay in the bullpen?
Yes.
Okay, so we've got those three. Those three come with the team. Like he inherits those. What do you guys think about that? And more so the Montoya, because like he was not with the org. He's not coming in with Grifol. Josh, what do you think about that kind of moment there?
Here's the rub.
This is where a follow-up question was really needed in today's press conference. Just somebody asking, hey, Rick, you mentioned that Charlie Montoya is the bench coach. Can you talk about the process of you hiring Charlie Montoya as the bench coach? That's it. And have Rick Hahn answer that question. And cheers, Mr. Hand. We did not get that question. All we got was, Pedro, like, how do you like working with Montoya, or the idea of working with them? And, we've had a couple of phone conversations, is what Pedro Grifol said about Charlie Montoya. And that doesn't provide clarity if Pedro Grifol picked him. Or
it's almost obvious he didn't.
That he didn't. I was gonna say it seemed like he didn't, and especially in the they had there was someone brought it back up kind of later on after you started your spaces, Josh, and Han said it became part of the discussion in interview 2. He goes, I don't remember which one of us brought his name up, and I thought, oh yes, you do. It was you who brought his name up. If the guy's only talked to him like 3 times on the phone, I'm gonna guess this was your idea. So, what do you guys think? Is this like a security blanket? Like, we're hiring a first-time manager, but put a former manager right there with him, another guy just to make sure, to check his work, to kind of like cover, or like kind of what do you think is going on here? Why that weirdness? It almost went off without a hitch with no weirdness, and it has some weirdness. Why do you think that is?
I think that go ahead. I was just gonna say, I think that there's some of that to it, right? I think there's some of like, you're gonna have a lot to do. It's gonna be overwhelming because you haven't done this, and we're gonna need you to lay this off on somebody. And the question that I have more about that is, was it that Grifol didn't have someone in mind for this? And they had maybe they had a few guys that they were like, oh, I really like this guy, but he doesn't seem to have, like, that's the part of the coaching staff that he doesn't really have, which is weird to me, because it seemed like if I'm thinking of coaches as a friendship group, like, that's your best friend.
That's your best friend,
coach.
Right?
You got one of those. You're like, when you're like leaving baseball as a player and going into coaching, immediately you got a guy. You're like, man, if I ever become a manager, my boy's coming with me. Does this guy just not have friends? Like, I want to know if he doesn't have friends.
Well, he does. His name is Mike Tosar, who was the hitting consultant that Kansas City hired by the recommendation of Pedro Grifol to help fix Jorge Soler. And during that one-on-one coaching, Soler led the American League in home runs hit with 49. And then Tosar was helping with Salvador Perez to make some tweaks in his swing, so Perez can lead the league in RBIs like he did in 2021. And then Tosar, during the season, was hired as the Royals hitting coach. That's where it's a little bit of a problem, because it sounds like Grifol would like to bring Tosar along with him to Chicago, but now Tosar's under contract, and the new general manager of the Kansas City Royals running baseball operations, JP Piccolo, mentioned in today's press conference introducing their new manager, he is expecting the White Sox to call about Royals coaches that may tag along to Pedro Grifol. So you have to start making trades for coaches on the Royals staff.
Or you could have made him the bench
Pedro
coach.
Grifol.
Dude, right?
You could have made him the bench coach, and the promotion won't block him, right? Well, although I don't know if you have to be out of contract or not on that, but yeah.
Guys, you're stepping all over it. Blake Rutherford has finally become a trade asset for the Chicago White Sox. Everyone take a drink. Blake is going. He's going to Kansas City, baby.
You laugh, baby, but we had a podcast before the season started. We had Janice Scurio on, and we were talking about the other teams in the division.
Right.
And one of the points that I brought up about the Royals specifically is that before last season, they had a big comeuppance of a lot of their minor league hitters. Namely, MJ Melendez was one of the big names, and so was Nick Prado, that suddenly added tons of power, tons of on-base skills to their skill set. They were prospects on their way out that shot back into, and now, I mean, Melendez plays every day for the Royals at this point. No, I don't know where my guy, the Italian Nightmare, fits in there, but their hitting program lifted a lot of those guys. So this Mike Tosar guy, who was part of that group, put that together, sounds like something promising. Sounds like a guy who has accomplished some things that you might want to bring in. In addition to what Josh was saying about working with the MLB hitters, he set up a program that even helped the lower level hitter. And the White Sox could use all of that. The development has still been lacking, even when incrementally Chris Getz is starting to get a little more out of the system. We need more help.
Could you pluck, though, like whoever the AAA hitting coaches from there, who's like under the tutelage of Tosar, to say, like, this guy knows what he's doing, Like he knows the program. He knows how to run this. Let's bring him in. Let's make him the hitting coach. Or, I agree with My Sock Summer. Trade Blake Rutherford. Or actually, I mean, like, I would love to see what this trade looks like. I would love to see Debo get traded. Like,
I think he lacks trade value.
He's gone, right? Debo's gone.
He's definitely a special assistant to somebody. All right. So, like, but yeah, I mean, like, you can't get much from Menachino. So I think we'd have to go player for this. But like, yeah, I mean, like, what's a coach worth? Like, it would be pretty hilarious to see what this is gonna, and whatever player it is gonna get themselves into the major leagues next year somehow, right? Like they're just gonna like come out of nowhere, and then he's gonna hit a home run off the Sox, and everyone's gonna be pissed.
And a $300 million contract, like that's probably gonna happen. The guy that gets traded, who knew? Then he'll get
I'm gonna guess
CDs,
we don't quite get there, but I would
hope
love
we do. I think it'd be great.
I would love the chaos.
Alec Hansen finally turns it around and is now in Kansas City. It would be beautiful.
So before we jump off, Grafal, I just want to bring up this picture. Beef, you wanted to get into this for a minute. Like, did his beautiful wife bring any additional respect to you when you saw her?
I mean, for me, it did, Treasy. I liked his enthusiasm. I wasn't sure. Like, they really touted the analytics. I didn't hear a lot of it. I know that he was like a catching guy for a little while. He was like helping the catchers. Salvi Perez's catching metrics blow, but he did win Gold Glove. So there's like maybe a disconnect there. So maybe that, I don't know. Maybe he's good at it. I'm not sure. But then I saw his wife. His wife is an absolute smoke show. And then he had told the story at the beginning of the press conference that his family was like, "Go for it, man. Just go." So his wife is that hot and ride or die. I believe in this dude just on the aspect of that. I don't know if he knows shit about turning this team around, but I think he's a guy that the younger guys be like, dude's got it going on, man. He's got his shit lined up. I could follow this guy. So I feel a little better about the leadership.
I will say, Beef, if we expanded that picture, like his whole family showed up for this.
Yes.
And none of them had insane tweets that were put out that day. So already a foot out on some of the other candidates. So I think that's an impressive feat. That
they didn't get into a fight at the Doug Buffone roast. That's all you need to not do, and then you're going to be fine. The family will be just fine.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's time, guys. It's time. Let's get into this. It's the Sox Machine off-season plan project, and my God, MSS. Just always the graphics. So good, baby. So
fucking
good.
Tretch, bro.
I love it. Dude,
I don't know who Tretch is. You better know.
If you don't know about Naughty by Nature, let me just tell you this. Me and Beef have seen Naughty by Nature live. And I've seen a ton of great rappers. I've seen Cube, Snoop, The Roots. Naughty by Nature is right up there in live shows. I shit you not. They are incredible live. But I digress. Let's talk about the off-season plan project. Josh, why don't you give us a little bit of background on what this is and what you guys do every year?
Yeah, so at Sox Machine, it's an opportunity for you to be the White Sox GM. And with the off-season plan project, you have to make the same decisions that the Chicago White Sox have to make. You have the arbitration-eligible players, which there are 8 this year that you have to decide to tender or non-tender. The arbitration contract values are provided by MLB Trade Rumors as they do their estimations every year on arbitration salaries, and they're pretty good at it. I don't want to say that they're accurate. Sometimes they nail it right in the head. Sometimes they're a few $100,000 off, but it's a good barometer just to see on just how much money, for example, Lucas Giolito could make in his final year of arbitration and team control with the Chicago White Sox. And then you have the club options in which the White Sox have the control and to decide if they're going to exercise that option, that player will return in 2023. There are 2 players this year that have club options, Tim Anderson and Josh Harrison. There is 1 player who has a player option in which they decide if they're going to exercise their 1-year contract to return to the White Sox or take a contract buyout, and that is AJ Pollock. And after you're done with that, you have a pretty good idea of where your budget is as far as your payroll. And this year's budget, as Jim Margulis was very nice to everyone, is $190 million. And once you get there, then the creativity flows. You get to make your pitches on which free agents and which trades that you would make to help improve the Chicago White Sox, build a better 26-man roster, and then your summary of how this team will get back into the postseason. So that's pretty much what the offseason plan project is. We've gotten many this offseason, which is not a surprise, but we've gotten some great ideas so far from the offseason plan projects, and it's always a fun exercise.
So let's and by the way, this is just an awesome idea, and I love it. And one of the nice things here is that like Sox Machine will let you go and basically post your whole idea on their site. You're writing the blog. We would never let you do this.
Not in a million years. No.
I don't even let Bruhan Luke publish his own.
No.
All right. There's a lot. Hey,
and
there's a lot of formatting to fix, and I love them. But yeah, I think this is just like one of the coolest things out there in the Sox blogosphere, and I appreciate you guys do it. And I just got to ask about, you mentioned some interesting stuff. We'll get to that in a minute, but I kind of want to know, what are the common themes of the early plans? Like, what are you seeing a lot of?
Seeing a lot of people trying to dump Yasmani Grandal, and that, speaking of mountains, that is moving a mountain of a contract. And a player who did not have a good season last year. And there's this wonderful resource called Baseball Trade Values, in which they try to put a value on every single player with their trade worth. And I haven't looked at Grandal's. I took a quick peek, and it started with the minus.
It's negative. It's negative.
It's negative, and it started with the 2. And I thought, -2. No, there's additional numbers after the 2. So I already know it's like you have to trade Colson Montgomery along with Yasmani Grandal if you want to dump the contract to get someone like Anthony Santander, from Baltimore. And it's really tough, and people are trying to do a lot of salary dumps. A lot of Brandon Nimmo on Sox Machine. That seems to be the one free agent target. If this is always a running joke in media, especially the outlets, like, what is the one thing White Sox fans are going to overreact this offseason? If the White Sox are not serious contenders and trying to sign Brandon Nimmo, I think that's going to piss off a lot of White Sox fans this offseason, especially based on the offseason plan projects that I've seen so far.
To that, let me ask you a question there. So, like, I've heard you talk about this and where you think his contract is. Where does the general population think that his contract lands?
Too low, like 485, 100. The fact that the Rockies are involved, this is going to get stupid. It's going to get stupid real quick, just like the whole Chris Bryant contract got stupid real quick when the Rockies got involved. It shocked everybody when they signed Chris Bryant. So I think Nimmo is going to get an offer that greatly inflates. That's a very popular phrase these days, inflation, that inflates what his contract is going to be this offseason, in which, maybe last year, feasible, 4 years, $80 million. That could be fair for a Brandon Nimmo, not after the year that he had, and not with the teams that are involved early in his free agency.
So we've talked about here's the common themes where everyone wants to trade Yasmani Grandal. Me and Beef have tried to do it many times in the blogs that we're writing. It's very difficult.
It's not, even the ones we did are unrealistic, in my opinion. I had to throw in Steve Cohen wants to throw shit at Jerry Reinsdorf to make it work in my eyes. Like, there's got to be a personal vendetta to take this stupid contract.
Jerry has to shake his hand. By the way, Jerry Reinsdorf despises Steve Cohen.
Right.
Jerry Reinsdorf was very against Steve Cohen owning the New York Mets. Very against.
Yeah, a guy who's going to spend a lot of money and drive everything up. Yeah, that sounds.
Of course.
That sounds anti-Jerry. Like Jerry.
Darn hedge fund guys.
I think Jerry would be a guy in for the cap. So and Steve Cohen's definitely not. It makes sense. You don't want more of those owners.
Treasy.
So what?
One quick. I clicked when I was making that beautiful graphic. I had to steal the graphic off of your guys' website, which you did not make very easily as a WebP. I had to crop it out. It's a pain in the
There's
ass.
this thing called email.
I know. I need to get it done quick. I need to go. When I'm ready to go, I'm ready to go. It's my big dick, and when I want to fuck,
classic White Sox number.
Okay, so
here we go. We're gonna get off the rails here because we're planning 108 day, and we're gonna get these damn graphics on January 6th. And we've been hyping this damn thing up for months. Yeah, this is how it works every time, folks.
I'm not
this
busy
is
on January 6th.
This is a real argument. This is what happens in real life whenever we plan shit. The road trip parties, the 108 days, whatever we do, this is what happens every single time.
Josh,
and I just sit here.
Yes.
Oh, you got the graphic?
Did the graphics? Did anyone die?
There you
No.
go.
Anyway, while I'm pulling this off, I'm really not.
You pulling something off? Yeah, that sounds like
paying
it.
too much attention. But I click on it, and it's one guy's plan, and then it gets the manager, and you guys put the manager on there, and I thought was great, and he had Guillen, and I was like, let me see what this guy has to say about Ozzie Guillen, and one of them was like, a total proven winner. Why are we hiring guys that don't have winning in their lineage? You know, it's like, bring back the guy that has actually won on the South Side. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know how you, and especially don't know how Jim, because he can't even put up with any of our bullshit, like, can read through these fucking plans and just be like, oh my God, yeah, this sounds like a totally legit idea. I'm going to publish this shit. It's like, man, too many people. This guy, his Ozzie love was just too much. And I was like, I'm afraid to click on anything else. I don't want to see nothing else.
There was a lot of Ozzie. Yeah, there was a lot of Ozzie. But the great thing with the folks that do comment on Sox Machine, a lot of it is constructive criticism because they've been through this exercise many a times over the years, and they will provide feedback. They will let you know if you're like way off on something or way wrong. They will let you know. Or they'll even challenge you. And I've got quite a few people in the comment section in my offseason play on challenging some of the ideas that I have. It's the whole idea, iron sharpens iron. And when you make your offseason plan and your ideas public in this type of forum, and you type it up, and you guys write all the time, and you throw stuff out there, and you get, terrific feedback, whether that's good, terrific, or bad, terrific, you definitely get type of feedback.
Yep.
It's always great because it does help in the following years when you're doing your off-season plans to really narrow it down and making sure that you get all of your ideas, coherent, good ideas on the digital paper.
So speaking of good ideas, or at least interesting ideas, what were some of the things that were more surprising or interesting that you've seen so far? And like one that I saw that Jim posted was someone who did the bad paper trade on Patrick Corbin. I thought that was interesting. Like going like, hey, we're going to get, you have almost zero players to fill out a roster right now. We'll give you a bunch of terrible ones and we'll take your one terrible guy back to like make some room on this roster.
Yeah, it's always tough because I have to go through all of them again, and I'll be inviting some of them to be on our podcast to share as far as like the best ideas. And I'm trying to will it down. I like the ones that are super brave and try to make Aaron Judge work. Bless your heart. I would love Aaron Judge to be in right field where we sit. Right there in section 108, see the 6'8" monster play right field. That would be phenomenal. And just try to make it work in the $190 million budget, like bending over backwards to do it. Like the rest of the team sucks, but hey, we got Aaron Judge, and I can't argue with that logic. Like, all right, he'll sell tickets. That's for sure. Yeah, I have to go through them again one more time. And what I always like to do as far as like the good ideas, especially the ideas that I haven't thought of, are like the trades that I didn't think of. And as you guys are writing all the blogs, like there's some ideas that you bounced off, like me serving as like a bounce board. Like Treasy, our conversation that we had around the fire pit about Rafael Devers, dude, he might be traded this offseason. That might be a realistic thing.
Such an interesting scenario in Boston. Like, what are what they're gonna do? Like, I mean, like there's a scenario where they spend to the moon because they have a lot of a lot of contracts expiring, and they've got a few guys that are like coming to the end of contracts, and like they could just really go nuts. They could also go, there's 3 to 4 teams in front of us in our division. Let's regroup. And you could get a lot for some of the guys that they got on that team. So that's where that was coming from. But yeah, that was, I mean, like I was actually relieved that you weren't like, this is the stupidest idea I heard.
And it sounds like if Boston's not going to meet Devers' number, Devers is going to tell him straight up, just like Aaron Judge told the Yankees before the 2022 season, I'm going to enter free agency. Is Chaim Bloom going to be as patient as Brian Cashman was for the Yankees and play it out? And maybe you get to benefit like the Yankees did, in which Aaron Judge has a season for the record books, and you take advantage of that. Or does Chaim Bloom trade Rafael Devers? So, and the Jay Cronenworth ideas, I love Jay Cronenworth. So I have to go through all the ideas again and vet them out. But that is an area, if you are listening to this or watching this and like, you know what, I'm going to participate in the offseason plan project. I feel like the trades is the trickiest and toughest part doing the plans, because you want to aim for good players, but you don't want to be that guy that just gets dragged and be like, nobody wants these damn prospects from the White Sox. Like, this is such an unrealistic trade. Terrible idea, and everybody piles on. That's where it's the toughest part of the offseason plan project.
So speaking of trades, though, Josh, you did make a trade, and I
talked like a minute ago. MSS. Don't let him lie to you like that. He did.
This is the kind of thing. This is the kind of thing that I think a lot of people would comment at you for, and would want to understand a little bit more of your thought process on. But you trade Liam Hendriks in yours. So tell us about what that trade is and what you were thinking behind that one.
Since Beefloaf has already used a metaphor with his wine pairing, Liam Hendriks in the current White Sox is like owning a Lamborghini that's parked on Madison Avenue, and you have this wonderful West Loop condo, but you share it with 2 other people, and you still have roommates. You got this great car, but you still have roommates. Like, in your life budget and priorities, maybe you should be owning a condo and not the Lamborghini. Liam Hendriks is the Lamborghini. He is the 4th highest paid player for the Chicago White Sox entering 2023. He pitched in 57 innings last year. That is 3.95% of the innings played during the regular season. Why is the 4th highest paid player on your team playing less than 4% of your season? So this is a matter of principle. You can't be paying a closer this much money if you're not investing the necessary funds to help bolster, I should say, your lineup, and especially the starting pitching staff. And if you have gaps in your lineup and starting pitching, you need to address those gaps first before you spend a bunch of cash on a closer. And this is, with the Edwin Diaz sweepstakes, this is going to be a big sticky point. He's going to be signed with the team like, this is our final piece. Like, we got everything covered. Yeah, we'll send you $16 million a season because you're what we are missing. We're missing the 9th inning guy. The White Sox are missing a second baseman, a right fielder, and a starting pitcher. And they got Liam Hendriks here. So for me, it's just a matter of principle. He's still an elite closer, and he's done everything that the White Sox asked of him. But the White Sox can't afford to pay someone who barely plays in the regular season $14 million. So I try to leverage the elite closer and that contract, which the 2024 option automatically vests if he gets traded, and try to flip Liam Hendriks to help out at starting pitcher, help out at second base. Maybe you could find a quality outfielder that you could add, because other teams want Liam Hendriks, because there are teams that have more structure within their roster, and what they are missing is a Liam Hendriks to take care of the 9th inning. He is their final piece. The White Sox have too many holes in the puzzle right now that they need to find pieces for.
I like that. I mean, that is someone that we considered a lot trading in our trade blogs. I think he might get traded.
We have one. It's not released yet, but yes. He is in one trade deal in our blogs. That's correct.
Yeah, I knew we were trying to do it. And what's funny is, like, when you get into that closer market, there's not too many teams that you can target to go like they need an elite closer, or they would pay for it. Like those are the two things. But when you get more than one, with more than one big free agent out there, or less than two big free agents out there, that's wild. Like it could really go off the rails, and like you could see someone really overpaying for a closer this offseason. So that is an interesting one, and we'll see how it goes. I'm going to get into my offseason plan, and mine is a thought experiment that I did in 2018, and I'm rehashing again. And in 2018, it was more like there's no reason for the Sox to do a lot because the team's just not there yet, right? Like, so what's the minimum that they would do? This year, it's more a thing of a combination of Rick Hahn laying so much on the managerial hire and so much on bad managing last year, and that wasn't his hire, so that's that. His inactivity at the trade deadline, and then his mentions of things like that there's more in trades for them than there is in going out and getting free agents. Right. It all just all of this just reads to me like I'm not doing anything this offseason. And so I named mine "We've Tried Nothing and We're All Out of Ideas." And to give you a little insight on that, I prefaced this in the blog, but I said, if I'm trying to get Jim's eye, I know I need to either write about a little known indie rock band that only plays every 7 years atop of the water tower in Poughkeepsie during the summer solstice, or use a Simpsons reference. So I went with using a Simpsons reference, and that's what I did there. But the idea here is that the Sox really don't do anything, right? They fill some depth pieces, and that's it. And the reason I want to do that is because I want to really kind of demonstrate that the team, when healthy, is not that bad. Like this is a contending team, as is when healthy. But when healthy is the key, and then you start to see the lack of depth.
Basically, stay healthy. Yes.
You start to see the lack of depth when you go through this. So what we're gonna do, I'll go through real quick, and like I'm tendering everybody in that list except for Adam Engel, because $2.3 million is way too much for what he does. And Kyle Crick.
Okay, explain Kyle Crick.
No, Kyle Crick is non-tender.
Okay, I forgot you saw the team. So
I'm tendering everybody. I'm tendering everybody but Crick and Engel. So okay. Engel's just too expensive for what he is. Kyle Crick, I haven't seen in years. I'm not going to pay him $1 million and a half.
There were big Crick fans before the season too.
Oh,
and I remember
absolutely.
It's like, oh man, his stuff is unbelievable. You were one of them, Josh. Okay, you, James Fegan, his stuff's unbelievable. He's going to come in here and be great. And I'm thinking to myself, the guy's so great. Why is he just out there free? Anyone could go. 108 could have signed him. I mean, like that's how free he was out there. It's like, oh, he's gonna be great.
Pedro was so great. Why didn't Kansas City hire him?
Yeah, it's kind of a similar argument. Thoughts and prayers for everybody.
I still have that question. Club options. I'm declining Josh Harrison. I like 5.6.
The writing's on the wall with that one.
Yeah. His number's already gone.
There. Took a picture. I retweeted that. I'm like, R.I.p. in peace, Josh Harrison. It was like, beautiful. How can you do him like that?
If you don't know now, Josh, how do you do?
Terrible. That was terrible.
Josh Harrison just made $1.5 million doing nothing this year. So I don't feel too bad for him. And he made like $5 million doing nothing last year. So I'm going to pick up Timmy's at 12.5. But I'm going to say this because I think a lot of people are at the point where they're like, well, of course you pick up Timmy's. $12.5 million for his caliber of shortstop is a deal. It is. It's not that big of a deal. Like him on the free agent market, I'm thinking makes between 15 and 18. Am I way out of line here? You think he makes 20?
Who's better?
You think he makes 20?
Who's better, Tim Anderson or Javier Baez?
Yeah, but Javi Baez contract don't count.
Doesn't matter. Does not matter. For
Well, no, it
your
counts, but
occupation,
it's a shot that that's a bad deal in the market kind of thing, right? I mean,
does
Think
not
about
matter.
how many free agent shortstops are there? High end free agent shortstops this year.
And they're all going to get paid because it's the most important defensive position in the infield now, especially with the shift being banned.
Right.
Or
And is he an
modified.
elite defender?
Doesn't matter. He's better than Javier Baez, and Baez got 6
No.
years,
He is
140
not
million.
better than Javier.
You're better than a lot of people, Trees.
Not on defense.
Should I? And what if a prospective employer called you and be like, "Listen, I'm only going to pay you 80% of this guy," but you're like, "I'm better than them." They're going to be like, "Yeah, well, that was a bad deal. They're stupid. I'm going to pay you 80% of this guy's value because that's all I want
That's
to
how
spend."
real life works, man. Like,
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
there's a finite number of companies out there and an even more finite number of teams.
Anderson would get 6 years, more than 120 million
No way.
if he was a free agent. Yeah,
No way.
Yeah,
I don't
He
believe
might
it.
like a
I don't
back
believe
end a back end contract. He might get that.
not back end, front end, because with
front end?
shortstops,
I think they
signing a
they
shortstop
took
to
it
be
at the
36 years old, you're probably moving them off of that position later down the road.
And let me preface this with saying, like, I really like Tim Anderson,
Doesn't
But-
sound like it.
but I don't.
you're
But
just
I
saying
don't
it's
think-
it's not that big of a
I don't
excess
think in the
value
market.
right now.
I don't think in the market, like he's as valuable as you're saying. Like I'm looking at the free agent market, and like you're gonna run out of the teams.
Current
You're gonna
Mike
run out of
says,
teams that are
isn't TA almost 30? Yeah, he is almost 30. right?
exactly.
He's 30.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So are you gonna pay? You're gonna pay him 20 million at 36? I just don't. I don't know. I don't buy it. We don't have to think about it though because they're definitely gonna pick that up.
Yeah, he's cheap.
All right. Player options. I mean, AJ Pollock is absolutely going to exercise this. And I would love for you to argue on this one, Josh, because I've heard you say that he's not going to, and it infuriates me. But
It's plausible. If he doesn't like Pedro Grifol, if he doesn't like Chicago as an elder millennial who has already made bank, it's the whole home life balance is worth a lot more than me being tortured on an organization that I don't want to be part of because I got traded to them. Give me my $5 million and I'll go pick where I want to play. It is plausible. But now if he likes Grifol, if he likes what he's heard and he likes the direction that the White Sox are going in, then yeah, he could stick around and make his $13 million.
your plausible argument just ruined your Tim Anderson one. So I will say on this.
Now you know how I feel,
Don't boo
Josh.
me. I'm right, damn it.
I know how I feel, Josh.
I will say on this one, I'm just still mad at the White Sox for allowing $3 million to get tacked onto this. That's all on them.
Yeah, it's great managing, but that was at the stage where I believe you guys call Rick Hahn not giving a fuck. Trade deadlines. Hey guys, I did the best I could during the trade deadline, which is I got you Jake Diekman.
We took a salary dump.
My hands are tied. There's nothing more I can do. There's not another deadline. Yeah, play AJ Pollock as much as you want. I don't care. We're not going anywhere.
Beautiful.
So for impending free agents, I let them all go. There's not going to be money for them from the org. I mean, I'd love a Abreu back. They're going to let him go.
Yeah, I agree.
Johnny Cueto is going to get more money somewhere else, and he's going to be guaranteed a starting role. Vince Velasquez, yeah, of course, he's gone. Elvis Andrus, I mean, I could see them not picking up his option and then trying to work out something, but like, I don't know what that looks like, and I don't think that this small amount of Elvis Andrus that we got is anything we should believe would be what he is the next year. So they're not going to believe that. That's not going to happen. For manager, I took Pedro Grifol. I saw that coming.
Of course. you were better than the Scoops accounts. None of the Scoops accounts.
I wrote this after we knew it was going to be him. Who knows? Who could tell? Who could tell?
Was that Mike Rodriguez that he was the one that tweeted out that Joe Espada was going to be the next White Sox manager?
Yeah, there were people retweeting it yesterday. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mike. I'm sorry.
There was also a food item that said, "Oh, we said the Espada deal was dead weeks ago." And I looked back through his timeline, and he had said that 5 days ago. Like, hey, there's still a front runner, but here's the dark horse, and it's like, I don't know, man. Like, and then I also noticed that, like, one of these accounts seemed to only tweet it a few times, like, in these few days. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'd seen him tweet a little bit more. So I think there might have been a little cleaning going on.
Delete.
I'm just saying.
Sam Davis asks, is Treasy a foot-long dog? Are you foot-long dog, Treasy?
Much shorter than that. Oh, it said dog.
Measure it again.
Okay. I gotta measure up the back for the inner shaft.
Question for the table here, because this is something that Jim and I discussed, and I think Jim's a little high as far as the dollar amount. But what do you think Johnny Cueto's going to get at free agency?
Do you think he's going to get 10? Like, do you think
I think he'll get more.
1 in 10?
Chris Archer got 10.
Yeah, I think more.
Brett Anderson gets 10.
It's a 1 year though, right? It's a 1 year.
Cole Hamels suckers teams into thinking that he can pitch again. With like 15 million.
Cole Hamels get 15 million and never leave his couch. Never attend anything. He's just like, yeah, I'm you know what? I couldn't get it going. I'm sorry. I'll just take your money though.
I pressed the power button on the Roomba, and my shoulder's feeling a little iffy.
Don't be talking about Roombas in front of Loaf right now.
What an agent!
Yeah,
forget Scott Boras. Cole Hamels' agent is amazing.
He had Garfine baited into that. Remember, Garfine was talking about Cole Hamels in that one podcast. It's like, I'll just reach out to everyone. I'll get on these podcasts. I'll say Cole Hamels is available. He only has he's Dave Dravecky right now. He has one arm, but so what? We're gonna get him signed to a contract.
Yeah, I was thinking 11.5 for Cueto for some reason.
I think that's
that's
a good dollar amount. I like that.
Yeah,
Mailman Jack says 2 for 23 from Denver.
I don't know if I want to put
and 3 Broncos, not the players, actual Broncos.
The way that he gets hit sometimes, I don't think he needs to be in Denver to get hit like that. I don't think that would be good.
Brian S says he probably can get 10 million.
And,
let's see who else. There was one other one I saw right here. I think it was 8 million. I think it goes higher. If it's a 1 year, I think it can get up to 15 million. I mean, he was super effective last year. He's finally healthy, assuming you believe the health. I mean, 1 year and 15 sounds fine. If he's trying to stretch it, that's where I think it gets leaner, kind of like where MSS is going or where Jack is going. I could see that lowering down to like 11 or 10 or 12 or somewhere in that range, like 2 and 20, 2 and 24 if he wants to add that second year. Because he is kind of year to year, right? If he stinks next year, it's a minor league deal. I mean, no one's signing him, basically. So it's like he may want to go for all-in money over like a single one AAV year,
And I'm always in fear of this particular conversation. We always talk about dead cat bounces when guys have had bounce back years and they sign with the White Sox and they just die.
Yep.
Think like Adamine. Was last year a dead cat bounce for Johnny Cueto? I want to believe it wasn't, but it totally could be. And do you want to be on the hook for that?
Right.
Yeah, it could just be like that was his last hurrah, and that's it. That's we got everything out of him. We pitched him a lot. We ran him hard, and like this year,
all right out. Yep.
It's not going to be as good, or he's gonna succumb to injury as he has previously. Like that's another option of like putting that many innings on his arm at this point in his career.
And they pushed him too, right? I mean, we talked about this before, Treasy. You look at his inning total, like, that's not that many. But then you realize he didn't really start pitching until, what was it, the beginning of May? And they shoved him.
He had the first month off.
Yeah, I would say they shoved him through the season, and they worked him hard, like kind of all the. And he faded a little bit at the end. Like, you kind of tell, like, they put a lot of wear and tear on that arm. But you're right. So that's another concern for somebody.
Rode him hard and put away wet.
I'll go through the rest of mine pretty quick because there's not a lot of good stuff here because, like I said, we're doing kind of nothing. So we got minor league deals for Anibal Sanchez, who's a very mediocre 39-year-old pitcher. A minor league,
as the 108ers.
A minor league deal for a guy who was horrible last year, Mike Minor. Well, he's definitely getting bought out of his contract. And then a minor league deal for our guy, Billy Hamilton. And Billy Hamilton is an interesting one here because we're getting rid of Engel, right? We're getting rid of Engel in my plan. Your backup outfielders are basically Lurie Garcia and Gavin Sheets in this scenario. Mm-hmm. So you need a guy kind of like waiting in the wings that could play center field. And then there's a little bit of additional utility out of Billy Hamilton now because the new rules are very favorable to a base stealer. And so even though Billy Hamilton is, nearing my age, he's still a guy who could run the base paths really quickly.
Damn,
I stopped aging. I'm like a vampire. And I'm the healthiest guy in the podcast.
That's right. That's right. All that Arby's.
And then I had one trade, and this is a trade that we did I don't know, I think we just released this, so this is not something new, but is Yolbert Sanchez for Eric Fetty from the Nationals, who is very likely a non-tender candidate for them. He's got no options left, so he has to make the team. But he's a guy with some pedigree. He hasn't been able to put it together, but who has in the Nationals pitching staff? So there's a chance that you could get something out of him. And if so, it's basically this year's Vince Velasquez with a little more time for Cats to work with him and see if we could get him to say, like, okay, this is going to be a guy that's going to make the roster. And Yolbert Sanchez for him, like I've been done with Yolbert Sanchez. Well, I was done with him when people were going nuts about him. So like, it's just a guy like we could hipster. We could trade him. We could trade him for that coach from the Royals that you guys love. So to just kind of like bring it all back to see like what this roster looks like when you do this, you've got kind of the changes in your hitters are basically inserting. I'm putting Lenyn Sosa at second base. Okay. I think that he has enough power that he'll out hit Romy Gonzalez in spring training. When Romy's doing his leg kick over his head and striking out every time he gets to the plate. And then Oscar Colas, I'm going to put in right field. I think that's the natural progression. If you're doing nothing, Colas has to be on this team. Like, I don't see another way for it. The pitchers, like the fifth pitching spot is just
love it.
Luck. I have no idea. It's any of those guys I just mentioned, or Davis Martin if he's healthy.
R.I.P. his elbow.
Exactly. And then here's the interesting thing when I was looking at this. When you look at the relievers, you assume Garrett Crochet is going to be in there, right?
Right.
And you assume Aaron Bummer is going to be in there.
Yep.
And when you do that, you have no other spots where you have a guy with options. So Jimmy Lambert kind of just gets knocked off of this, which is insanity to me. Like, I think he belongs in there. But you have, like, Rick Hahn has backed us into this corner. I mean, like, the other option is you could non-tender Jose Ruiz, but then you have to find someone who could give you that many innings with a rubber arm like Jose Ruiz, which is not easy. So, like, you end up with, as your quadruple A guys, basically, is like Davis Martin, Jake Berger, Jimmy Lambert, Carlos Perez, Adam Hazley. And I would include it maybe in this, but I did so many minor league deals that Sean Burke is in that. But that's it. That's it. You can handle like 2 injuries, like and still have a reasonable team.
What's your payroll?
I mean, I didn't even calculate it because I knew I was way under. But I would assume it's I'm going to assume it's in like the 170 to 180 million.
You're like at 175, I think.
Yeah, I think that's about right. About 175.
I didn't tell you that Anibal Sanchez has an escalator of $15 million if he makes. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, listen.
Hey, this payroll is more than what the Houston Astros will carry. So great job, Teresa.
Incredible.
You can take that.
By the way, what a hand everyone's dealt with this off-season project. By the time you start getting to the free agent and trades, you're already at 170 million. Here's 20 million. Make this team better.
I mean, and that's the thing. That's kind of the point of this, right? Of like, when you look at the team that I just presented you, the payroll's still around where we were last year because everyone's getting escalations, all that, and like, there's no depth. The minor league has given us almost nothing.
I was gonna say, you prefaced it before we came on, Treasy. You're like, I'm trying to build some depth. You built a little tiny bit on the pitching side. On the offense, Mailman Jack's right. The over-under is 2 injuries. That's it. And then you're cooked.
Yeah.
The entire offense is cooked. There's no one to bring up. There's no one to find. You're going to have to search the streets to find your replacements because we ain't got them. They're nowhere around. You know?
And so that's kind of one thing that we should talk about is that, like, we should be prepared as Sox fans to see a entire offseason of depth moves and saying, like, this is the team. And I'm going to fill in behind it.
We believe in this core. They said it today. We believe in this core. They said it. They said it in the press conference. When they said it, Treasy, I thought of you because I thought your plan is we believe in this core. We ain't doing hardly anything. And that's exactly what they said in the press conference.
And no, I only put 3 deals up there because it's impossible for me to know everybody that's going to get non-tendered and, like, all the people that are going to be floating around and, like, all the guys that are, like, surprise guys that won't get signed to a major league deal. Like Cueto last year, I think we were all surprised that, like, he was even available.
Right.
To the point, like, I'm a moron. And when Lance Lynn got hurt, I tweeted at Josh. I said, it's Johnny Cueto time. Because it was obvious. And, like, so not because I was like, yeah, I knew Cueto would be good. I just knew that Cueto was alive. That's like the only thing that I knew.
It was the same thing with Elvis Andrews. We were
Yes.
like, get Elvis Andrews. Like,
Everybody
no
had
brainer.
None of us knew he was going to play the way he did. We just knew he played shortstop.
They're just geniuses. That's all.
Hey, Teresa, you're legit a food account, so it works out. Like, you knew all the scoops. All the food accounts know the scoops, so good job. One thing, your Engel trade, like, I didn't even think about, like, getting rid of Engel because I like him, but I
didn't trade him. I traded him to you're
credit.
Unemployed.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Get the F out of here.
Give me a minute.
No one ever told him he's a loser, Treasy.
Yeah, loser, Bobby. Get the fuck out of here.
Not bringing him back. All right, I always like him as a defensive replacement. But you're totally correct. I mean, we can
We're
probably
great in
get
Baltimore.
pretty decent guy to come in and play that. But Loaf, and you know it too, the real reason he wants to get rid of Engel is because of that caboose. He wants to have the finest caboose out in the outfield at White Sox Park,
correct.
And that's what 100%. He's trying to do.
There's nothing wrong with that.
That's really that was good. I like that you hit it though. That was good.
Well, all right, that was my plan. That was my plan. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I think it's time for our guy Mike Sock Summer to not give his plan, but to promote something. What are you going to promote, buddy?
Well, hey, you know what? This beauty thing, it just keeps sagging right at me. It's just splashing all the colors. Look at it. It's purple. It was just green. I think it's going to change to a different color pretty soon. Oh, there goes Loaf. Can't take it. Oh, there it goes back to green. All right, we got these brand new for 2022. Christmas ornaments. We tried to order them in 2021. Them assholes, those scumbags, those dirty, dirty cheats. Discount mugs did not send them to us and then blamed the supply chain when after I ordered them a month and a half in advance. So you know what? We did them dirty this year. Ordered these motherfuckers in August. These have been sitting in my basement since August. These are beautiful. They're unbreakable. They're white until you turn it on, and then they become the most obnoxious Christmas ornament you could ever have on your tree. This is available right now. This is sold, and there's been at least 7 sales since we started the podcast.
Oh, baby.
For $19.99. We will ship this to your house for an extra $5, but it is $19.99 originally plus tax. Now, you can give this to a friend. People are always like, what do you get? There's somebody that has everything. Not anybody has this. You will be the first person to have this. So if you like the White Sox and you like the 108 and you like supporting local podcasts, here you go, baby. This is all you got to do. So go check out our website, FromThe108.com. Click on the side banner to the merch shop. Go right in there. You can get this. Now, what's the deal? What's the good deal, though, Teresi?
You got to get it with the ugly Christmas sweater.
That's right.
And here's why you want to get the ugly Christmas sweater. Let me just say this. I came up with that idea. And these motherfuckers said it was a terrible idea. And then My Sock Summer ordered 7 billion of them.
Yes. That's my point.
And we've sold through almost all of them. And because they're not sold out, MSS is like, that was a shitty idea. So show them that it was a good idea and that you love it and buy those. They're awesome. I'll tell you, like, everyone needs an ugly Christmas sweater for
and an ornament.
Long Christmas season that we have now that started like yesterday that Josh is pissed off about.
Started October 1st.
Yes.
Christmas shit was out right with the Halloween candy. Christmas
You know what?
shit was
Hold
out
on, hold
before
on.
Halloween candy.
And that's
Hold
a
on.
problem.
I gotta say something, right? Real quick.
You got to adapt or die. Adapt or die is what I hear.
I'm gonna end the ad right here, where we're not doing the ad anymore. We're not getting back into the off-season plan projects yet. I want to hear Josh on how Christmas is starting November 1st. I want to hear your thoughts on Christmas starting November 1st.
I'm glad you asked because it's complete bullshit. Okay, first of all, Christmas starts on Black Friday. That's the purpose of Black Friday. And you get
black.
You get because supposedly that companies make profit. That's why they call it Black Friday. You get 5 weeks, okay? And then you push it. We all push it. Suddenly January becomes February, and we still got our Christmas stuff up. Why? It's the season. No, we're too damn lazy. Now we're too eager. We're starting on November 1st.
Yep.
How was Day of the Dead for you guys? How was that? Did you get a chance to celebrate that?
No.
I did not paint up.
No, we should have. We should have.
Yes, respect your heritage.
The
other
problem is,
holidays.
like our older family that might have they've all passed away.
They're
man.
dead.
So,
That's
we
the
don't
point
got
of
that,
the holiday. You're supposed to remember that.
I think about them on that day.
I love most of them, and I don't.
You know what I did, Josh? I burned my hands making some tortillas.
In honor.
And they were like, they were looking down on me.
And
going
Inez was pleased that you did that.
They were looking down on me. And some of them were looking up at me. I go,
most of them.
A good amount. We're like, that's our guy. That's our guy.
You know, joking aside, my first job was working for Kmart when I was a teenager. So I would have to work Black Friday and work a lot of the holidays up to Christmas, and just seeing how evil and terrible people are as they are Christmas shopping gave me a different view of this upcoming holiday season. It's not a pretty look, America. Like, there's a lot of things that are wrong about this country as we are coming up to Election Day next Tuesday. The way that we celebrate this particular holiday is a bit ugly. Yes, why won't God blow up the sun? Why won't God remind everyone the reason for the season? Are we going to go to church to Christmas Eve? No, Christmas Eve is on a Saturday and there's NFL games. Damn it. I'm not going to church.
You bet your ass.
So it's become
church.
It's become the most capitalistic holiday we could ever produce as a society. And it's overbearing. It's overbearing. I don't mind seeing Mariah Carey. I think a lot of people in this world don't mind seeing Mariah Carey.
You bet your ass.
Mariah, you're a little early. Okay. You can pop out.
She can stay though.
Friday, Black Friday. That's fine. She can stay and pretend that she's on her Peloton. Which, by the way, if you have a Peloton username, I'd love to add you to my Peloton list just to see on how many miles you bike a month.
So you can start yelling at you how Christmas sucks. Right now while you're riding a Peloton.
But if people I know people love Christmas, but it's too much, and it's overbearing, and the gifts and the stress and the travel. Let it wait. Black Friday is a great kickoff. You get a month. That's a nice little ramp up. Let's not push it to 2 months.
Read this comment. Brian Eske goes, I was assaulted by a 70-year-old woman, corner of cart in my spine at full speed at a Walmart on Black Friday, reaching for a Rocky Blu-ray box set. Now, what I want to know
'tis the season.
Was she also going for the Rocky Blu-ray box set?
Yeah, could be.
Was she just trying to knock out the competition and get this Blu-ray set?
You know what? I know Brian enough that there was probably a Funko Pop associated with that Blu-ray set. So that's why she was probably trying to get it for her grandson. Now, everything Josh just said, 100% correct, but go to our website right now and spend $20 on
buy the ornament.
Please buy this now because I don't want this in my basement for another 4 months. So
that's why you got to buy it right away, because we're putting up our trees early. Josh the fucking Grinch. There's nothing wrong with decorating your house, enjoying yourself, and enjoying the season. And you can still enjoy Thanksgiving. I saw that argument out there. Nam was mostly fighting back on it. there are no Thanksgiving decorations, okay? You can enjoy Thanksgiving with your tree up. I was telling Bonita, I'm going to put the tree up early. And she's, you're putting up this early? I said, yeah, let's put it up. She goes, we should just leave it up all year round. And I said, that's a great idea. We'll put different ornaments on it all year, and we'll just leave the goddamn thing up. Now, that's the way to do it. So it might shift, have some different stuff on there, but it could be good.
Beef, I would argue with you. I would argue with you, but I'm definitely in my home trying to keep my Star Wars tree up year round. It's already up.
It's been up.
It's better.
4th of July, you should put sparklers in that puppy and light it.
In the house. That's a good idea.
In the house.
Take some risks.
I'll light up that day, but
Sing the national anthem.
Speaking of lighting up, MSS, I hear you have an off-season planned project for us.
I do. And if you thought Charizi's was awful, just wait till you hear this. This is going to be a good one. Now, every year we do this, and every year Charizi and Loaf go, if you want to get it on this, you can get it on it. And every year I look at it as the challenge that it is, that I have to go and try to pretend that I really care about baseball numbers.
And we give you an out. We give you an out. So you don't got to do it, MSS. You don't want to, but every year you want them, baby. I love it.
I do this because I'm trying to better myself and become more of a baseball type person and try to get more into these things. And every so often, I come up with not a trade proposal. I pull out somebody out of this big long list of people that I see, and people go, that was a really good idea. We should get that guy. Like last year, I don't remember who it was, but
Wilmer Flores.
Yes.
Wilmer Flores was the pick last year that I was like, I love that.
I was floored by that. I didn't even know you knew who he was.
I did it.
For the record, MSS, Wilmer Flores hit 19 home runs last year. He would have led the White Sox. So it was a great idea. It was a great idea.
It was a great idea.
This is my intro. I said, ideally, you want a new manager to come in and assess the team to make some changes that he'd like to. And I'm not sure that Pedro will be given much more grace on that front, but rather be told, this is what you have to work with. Make it happen. It's interesting that these long-term deals that everyone said, oh, these are sweet deals for the team, have really come back to bite us in the ass. So much like Charizi's, this is what we're going to do with not a lot, because pretty much everything's set. Now, arbitration eligible, everyone is tendered, except for Kyle Crick, because I don't even know who that is. So he's gone.
Everyone drink.
And Jose Ruiz, right? I was tempted to not tender him, but then I'm like, who else? Are we going to find someone else to throw in this slot? Probably not. So we'll see. I don't know. We'll see. Club options, Josh Harrison, obviously gone. His number was given away. He's done. Tim Anderson, you're keeping, obviously. You can't get rid of Tim Anderson, especially because Josh thinks he's going to get $500 million next time he's on the open market. Player options, AJ Pollock. I'm going to be honest. I didn't fully understand what this was all about, but he's exercised. He's going to be here, so we're good. Free agents, and this is horrible, and this is the worst part about the whole thing, because if you want to keep the one player that everyone wants to keep, you can't buy anybody else. There's nothing else that you can get. Like, you're like, this is it. You get one game. Yes, you have that fancy PlayStation 5, but you want, Call of Duty 17. You can only get Call of Duty 17. You can't have any other games. And they're like, well, I don't know. Maybe I want to play basketball every once in a while. Nope, can't do it. You can only play Call of Duty because you only have money for one game. Or one good game or two shitty games. So we're going to have to go with the two shitty games. I'm sorry, Jose Abreu. We'll see you later. It's been fun, and it hurts me. It pains me. Maybe he'll give us a hometown deep discount deal. Don't think you will, because he got kind of disrespected at the end of the season there, I feel like. Johnny Cueto, I love Johnny Cueto. He's probably one of my fucking favorite moments of 2022. Watching him pitch was magnificent. I can't see paying over $4 million. Once you've got it for $4 million, I can't see paying 3 times that to bring him back. I just can't. Yeah. The guy that goes to thrift stores inside me, no, can't do that. I got it cheap once, and I got good value from it. I can't see myself paying 3 times as much to hopefully get it back. No,
hit it and quit it. You hit it and quit it.
Hit it and quit it. Vince Velasquez, I didn't even know he was still on the team. So yeah, we'll see you later. We don't need you to come back. You did it too well. Elvis Andrus, again. If Tim Anderson's healthy, which it seems like he might be, we're just gonna ride with Tim. We don't need to worry about Elvis Andrus. I don't. If he could play second and he had like an amazing bat,
He could
Maybe.
MSS, but I think he factors into your same thrift store thing of like.
You think he's going to cost a bunch of money?
I got the deal once.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to get that again.
that's true. So, manager, we got already. Did I leave anything out? I don't think I don't think I've left anything out. So.
No,
so
you're
who are
good.
the
All right,
free agents
now-
at
base,
one
baby.
time?
Here's
Where
the deal.
Where are the terrible video games?
Yeah. So I drew out. I had to draw out the field of all the people that should be on there because my brain last
can't see
night
that.
was not. It's all. It's
it's-
a baseball field,
Yeah,
and then
no,
here's some
I-
names.
I believe you.
I
I
had
just-
to write
I
it
don't
out.
see it.
Okay, I had to write it out.
That's fair.
So I had to throw this all into it. I had to throw it all into it. So just to like make it fit,
How was
because
that?
I'm like, because Lo sent us this really sweet Excel file, and I'm looking at it, I go, I don't think these are all the players. So I start writing them down. Nope, that's all the players. So we definitely don't have a lot. Now, what could happen? The organization could say, you know what, we're going to trade a Liam Hendricks. That could potentially happen. I don't see them doing that. I think they still think, although Josh's analogy was perfect of having the Ferrari living in the condo with two roommates, I think they still think that we're not living at home with roommates. We actually have our own place and think it's going to be good. So I'm just saying they're thinking we're still going to need this. I don't think he's going to change. We're going to take a drink break.
Cheers,
Cheers,
Jack.
mailman Jack.
Now, that could happen though, and they could get some stuff, but I'm not going to go there. I fully believe they think Andrew Vaughn is the future at first base. I also fully believe, I hope. I hadn't even gotten knocked out like all night, and it happens when I'm talking. I think there's a buzzer that one of you motherfuckers are putting. Now,
Uncle Tickles hits the buzzer. That's what
damn.
Save this one for later.
Yeah, that's right. We'll bring that back.
So anyway, so yeah, we're gonna say Vaughn is the thing, and hopefully Aloy is gonna be our DH. We'll see. Colas definitely you have to put in the right field or riding with Sheets, which I don't think would be a horrible option. I think he played his way into being a serviceable right fielder against certain pitchers.
Josh doesn't agree. Look at Josh's face.
I know. I'm sorry, Josh. Don't get mad at me. Now, here's the bad video games I think we need to pick up.
This is what I'm here for.
These are the people that we need to take a flyer on and just see what happens. Okay, we just got to, maybe we don't sign them, but we probably should just to see what happens. Now, first guy, best name ever, best fucking name ever, awesome fucking pick. If you go to Baseball Reference, Rund Odor. Okay, now,
Whoa.
I know what you guys are thinking.
Ronan Odor.
Rund
Odor.
Odor, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Drink, have a drink. Listen, he's not a sexy pick.
Marinara Smith.
He's not a sexy pickup. Just not. But he had more home runs last year than Luis Robert. So, and I know it was a bad year for Luis Robert, but he definitely can hit the
Don't
ball
worry about
every
Luis.
so often.
MSS, don't worry about Luis because the new hitting coach will perfect that one-handed swing he was working on.
Exactly. We're going to be fine. No, but he's going to be cheap. And like when I proposed this last night in the group chat, they're like, you could probably sign a minor league deal and just see what happens. And you're probably right. And that kind of plays out to a lot of these other guys. So if he can also come in, if Rami doesn't do really good at second, we can just slide him in and see what happens. It's just going to be a cheap option just to see if we can get some magic out of it. Sox seem to be doing, pretty good with guys that just come in at a last bounce and get something from it. Now,
Hey, MSS,
go ahead.
is as much as I hate your pronunciation of that,
Roll it over.
I don't hate this, especially if you could get him on a minor league deal. Like that's a depth move, but I don't know. Like
I don't know. It could be bad.
I don't know about giving him a roster spot. Like that's where I get, that's where it's difficult for me. But it should be extremely cheap.
Jack, I thought you were my buddy. I'm going to all UPS. I'm going to all UPS now. I'm not even going to go to USPS anymore.
A little out of line himself. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Continue,
Anyway,
MSS. Don't let him
second one.
sidetrack you.
This is the guy that I pick every year. And every year the White Sox refuse to sign him. But please, sign my wife's cousin, TJ McFarland. We need a left-handed reliever in this pen.
We only have 3.
No, we need another one. Josh, shut up. We'll give him a chance. At least at the very least, let's give him a minor league deal. Now, listen. I'm not the biggest number guys here. I might be the biggest guy, but I'm not the biggest number guy. But I went and looked at his stats. TJ will have a bad year, a bad year, a bad year, good year. Then he had bad year, good year. Last year had a bad year. So guess what he's due for now? Good year. You follow I've been doing the patterns with my daughters. If you follow the patterns, he will have a good year this year. Let's sign him. We need him.
I love TJ. He's a great guy. And he's been nothing but nice to us. But if you're gonna follow a pattern with him, you should follow his ability to strike anyone out. It's not going in the right direction.
It's not.
And like and like I said, like I love him. I hope he signs on somewhere, and I hope he continues his career. But I think, like, he needs to start prepping for that broadcast, that podcast career, because he's got all the tools for that for sure.
He'd be right here.
I would love it. I would love it. But I think it's his peripherals are getting worse. And I would not be opposed to a minor league deal for a guy to come home and be that, but like, I just don't see it for him at this point.
Listen, I just like bringing him up every time we do this. This is fun. Now, next guy I had never even heard of.
There's more. Okay.
Quite honest. Never even heard. Josh, I gotta throw a bunch of names out there.
Next guy, a guy I've never even heard of.
Never heard of.
I'm ready. We're all ready to drink.
I'm intrigued.
Once he says the name, we got to drink.
Chad, cool. Kuhl. Is that right? Cool.
Yes.
He's fucking from the goddamn Colorado Rockies. I went in. What do I like about him? His age. He's kind of young, right? He's not totally too old or whatever. So he's got chances to come around. Now,
that's how you talk about women.
His innings,
I think he is, yeah.
His innings are going up as he's going too, right?
He's heading into his sexual prime.
He's starting to get better, right? He had a great start last year, then he trailed off. Plus, he's in Colorado, and I think
just a bit.
I'm willing
to
give
like
him
a 9 ERA post All-Star break.
And here, I'm telling you, Josh, it's not like
it's a deal right there, MSS.
Right?
I get him cheap.
You know what?
I get him
cheap. He's cheap.
Right. Listen, I'm talking about the potential upside, Josh, and I'm not talking about the fucking, like, you have to look deep. You can't just be like, oh, well, it's horrible. You have to think about it. You have to
look into his soul.
Right. I'm seeing good trends. Like, listen, I told you, I'm not the biggest numbers guy, but I'm seeing good trends. His fucking innings are going up. We might need somebody on the back end if Kmart can't fucking get it together. Okay, we might need a guy just to eat innings. We're also, this team, and Josh, this is true too.
Wait, did you say Kmart? Who's Kmart?
Or is it?
He's talking about Davis Martin.
Okay.
I'll translate. I'll translate all this.
Okay, thank you. I apologize.
I'm sorry. The dart. I'm sorry. I'm so disrespectful to the dart. But no, like what we need on this team is these motherfuckers. They hit home runs, so we're dependent on that. If we don't get the home runs, it don't matter who we got pitching. So we got to bring in a guy like a Chad that could come in and eat innings. If we can hit 10 home runs in a game, don't worry about it. Anyway,
Chad Kuhl is actually part of my off-season plan project.
Was he really?
Yes.
So this is why I'm like astounded.
Okay, so tell me why you picked him versus the bullshit I just said.
Charlotte needs pitchers.
Okay.
Chad Kuhl needs a job. Ta-da.
Do you think that he could come in though and eat innings? Because it looks like he could do that. His arm seems like he could do
it. At most, I would want him to make 2 starts with the Chicago White Sox.
That's pretty good.
Pray the White Sox score 7 runs. Like that's what I'm.
That's what I mean. Honestly, some of these guys, that's what's dependent on.
Before the start of last season, we did that video on like how do you fill kind of the starting pitching from in the back end because we were in.
It was empty. They had no guys with options or anything. They had no like minor league depth.
And it
was ready.
I think it was me, you, and Dave were talking about
White Sox Dave,
and you actually you said Vince Velasquez actually.
I did, yeah.
But he
was in my plan last year, so I nailed that one. I mean, I don't know.
He was talking about Chad Cool.
Yeah, he was talking about.
And at that point, there was a lot more promise to him. And now we're a little bit more on the downside of it. But I think that's definitely a name that's bandied about quite a bit when you're looking at a guy where you're like, I want a minor league arm, and it's a guy who could make starts. He could be a swing man. He could do kind of all those things that are just the dirty work of being a pitcher. And so it's not sexy, but it's
definitely
something the Sox need.
There is a part in baseball today in which we call quadruple A hell. Our old friend Yolmer Sanchez is always going to be in quadruple A hell, despite his Gold Glove. Adam Engel probably doesn't know this right now, but he is going to quadruple A hell, in which these are guys that are going to sign minor league contracts, are going to be playing games in AAA, but they're one of the first ones called up to the majors. Why? They have previous major league experience. Please help us for a week. Chad Kuhl is one of those guys that could help you for a week. Chad Kuhl could also start Friday nights in Charlotte in front of a packed house and be like a 4 ERA kind of guy at AAA, making you think that, well, if he's pitching well for the Knights, maybe if someone goes on the injured list, he could help out. It's not a terrible idea, my Sox summer.
Thank you. And this is why, I mean, every year, and I guarantee you, I never heard anybody mention this guy's name before. It's just like totally all through my own research of just Google searching and then like putting these things in. Now,
he's on Pornhub is what I just.
As we're talking about this, I don't go to Pornhub.
But at least one tab is Baseball Reference.
Red tube, fine. Sorry.
I like porn galore. That's my big thing. And then,
man, I can't believe he's giving out trade secrets right here.
I used to like Spank Monkey, but I can't get on that anymore on my old Mac, so I can't do that. But anyway, here's what I'm gonna say. This too, though, Josh. The way you're saying,
I don't want to know why.
His name is Chad Kuhl, right? I'm seeing a MetLife tie-in with Chad Kuhl in the Joe Cool fucking outfit bobblehead. That's all I can see. This guy,
the Joe Cool that the U.S. government said that you could never advertise with again. You want to make that into a bubble.
Not Joe Camel. Not Joe Camel.
That's what it
Joe
was.
Cool.
Okay.
Joe Cool.
No.
But Joe Camel too.
I worked in tobacco. I know we can't do that.
The penis that smokes.
Yeah, the big dick that smokes. The veiny big dick that smokes. Now, the last one. This is my last guy. Zach Davies. Again,
no. Fuck you.
I like the
People, no. You know why? No. Zach Davies sucks ass.
Again.
And not only does he suck ass, he is also a shit ass husband. Fuck that dude.
I didn't know about this.
On there. What's the deal with that?
He got roasted by his wife on Instagram that pretty much ghosted her, and they have a kid together.
Oh, that I remember hearing about
that. Was that guy. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so not only does Zach Davies throw piss ass 90 miles per hour that gets fucking blown up to the sun, he's also an asshole. It's a great combination. Not only do I have to watch you suck ass on the mound, I have to have this thought in my head that you also suck as a person. You will make Jake Diekman look better. You know what? Great idea. Great idea. Jake Diekman, great guy, does a lot as far as for those that have GI issues, has a fantastic charity, terrible baseball pitcher. But you know what? I can tolerate when he's on the mound because he's a good human being. Yes, give me Zach Davies so I can scream from right field. What the fuck are we doing when he gives up 3 home runs and it's the second inning?
All right. Well, you don't win them all. So, Zach Davies, see you later. All right? He's gone. Josh has made a very compelling argument. I don't want to piss off certain sects of White Sox Twitter. See ya.
Yes, you do. How dare you?
I don't.
Looking to get canceled. A couple comments to follow up on here.
Problem.
Baloney says, Josh is on tilt. MSS got him on the ropes. And then Brian S. just following up on the Zach Davies comment, said he just disappeared one day and his lawyer wrote a letter to the wife with divorce papers. Awful.
Jesus.
This is a ridiculous guy. Just terrible guy.
I'm glad we brought him up because I didn't know that about him.
I didn't either.
That guy.
I should have Googled him better. I just went to Baseball Reference. They don't talk about all the whoring, apparently. So
Beef, you're up, and I hope you lead off with Zach Davies.
Look, I hope the juice is worth the squeeze here, Josh, because their first two plans were very dour and scary and frightening. I think I have a few moves here that you might enjoy, and you're riled up right now, so pick them apart. Please beat the shit out of my moves. My preamble is very
2 beards.
my preamble is very simple. Just talks about how we're losing Jose Abreu and we're expected to have an even better roster this year. And I just want to remind the audience that last year, my Sox Machine offseason plan birthed 2 free agent signings for the White Sox. I got Josh Harrison right, and I got Vince Velasquez right. So keep an eye on my Sox Machine offseason plan. My mind is right in the gutter like Rick Hahn's, okay? I got my mind cued in to all his stupid thoughts. So we'll start with the arbitration-eligible players. I'm tendering a contract to Lucas Giolito, Dylan Cease, Reynaldo Lopez. I'm kicking Adam Engel's ass out of here. He's way too overpaid for what he does, even though I love his beautiful ass. Michael Kopech can stay for $2.2 million. Kyle Crick, agree with you guys. He's gone for $1.5 million. I'm going to non-tender Jose Ruiz. This was the toughest one, in my opinion, because, Josh, you make a compelling argument like that 8th guy in your bullpen, you know, it's tough to find a guy who is dependable as he is. Like, you don't want to pitch him in the 8th inning. But if you pitch him in the 6th inning, or if you pitch him in a game when you're up 3 or down 3, you know, he's fine. He's actually very serviceable. I just wanted to try some other ideas. So I would be fine anyone who decides to keep Ruiz for this minimal amount. I'm also going to tender a contract to Danny Mendick, only on the strength of his limited performance last year. I get the argument of letting him go too, because you got a lot of up the middle depth, although I'm not sure I trust any of it just yet. So like you guys are putting Romy and Lenin Sosa on the roster. I'm not kind of ready for 500 plate appearances of any of them. Like I'd rather have Danny Mendick hanging around just in case.
Plus, White Sox Dave loves Danny Mendick. Like that is, and also borrows money from Danny Mendick.
He said he was going to pay him back, but we have no proof that he did actually pay him back.
He was like, "Oh shit, I better text him and see if I sent that PayPal or that Venmo."
There's no way he did
Venmo. Yeah,
that's right. There's no way he sent any of that money. The club options, I think, are pretty straightforward. I pick up Tim Anderson. I'm going to let Josh Harrison walk. I thought about Josh Harrison for a minute. He was fine last year. He was basically worth what you paid him, but he's going to be 36 years old. I don't know that we need. Let's go another direction at second base. That's where I'm kind of looking with this. Player options, yeah, I think A.J. Pollock takes the money. I get Josh's argument, even though we fought about it before because I told him he's totally insane that they're not going to take that argument. I don't think the delta between the deal he could sign and what he's getting here has got to be $5 million. I don't think he's just throwing that away. That would shock me. This is probably his last contract. Like you take that last $5 million, then you walk away into the sunset. In my personal opinion, you know, the impending free agents, as much as it kills me, I'm letting Jose walk. I mean, I think they're a better team with Jose Abreu. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think I'm basing it on what I think the White Sox will do, not what I would personally do. I would personally sign him back, and I would find a way to make sure he fits in the lineup. Same thing with Johnny Cueto. I agree with MSS's argument with Johnny Cueto. We had him so cheap, and now signing him back for like $16 million and then having him go on the IL would just like it would be soul crushing. I can't emotionally. I just can't do it. Vince Velasquez, I'm re-signing him. 1 year, $3 million, same deal, okay? And the reason why, and you guys notice, the first half of the year, he stunk, right? But he was forced into a role where he's starting. And there was all this, like, Cats didn't have enough time with him, all this stuff, right? When we got to the second half of the year, and he was just a reliever, he was decent. Now, if he ends up in a role where he can flex from long man to occasional spots where he might work kind of in the short relief, I could see this. So I like the idea of bringing him back.
When you're doing that, you're saying he's going to take the Ruiz role. Basically.
He would take the Ruiz role. He'd be the long man, basically, in the bullpen. Yep,
but
that's correct.
If there is something that Cats can do with him, and you need him in a pinch, this is now maybe a guy, or you're just putting him in that role and saying this is your role.
It's maybe a guy. Like we saw him get flexed when Cairo was there. He flexed him in the 8th inning role against Seattle, right? I think occasionally when the matchup's right and you got perfect conditions, you may use him in some other roles. And so and he's got the dirt, so he can give you a lot of innings out of the bullpen, right? We haven't had like the DJ Carrasco guy that'll give you like 75, 80 innings, right? let's have one guy who maybe could do that for us. So I like re-signing him. I let Elvis Andrews walk. I kind of agree with your argument, Treasy. We're not getting the month and a half of Elvis Andrews we just got. So he's walking. The manager's already locked, but I have a question for Josh. I didn't bring it up in the earlier section. And this is a how dare you. And you brought it up like 6 times on various different things, okay? And I should have bodied you on your spaces, but I because I love you, I didn't do that. I popped in for a question. I didn't hog any of the airtime. Just asked you one critical. I was the only one who was critical of it. Jesus, everyone was like bubble gum and lollipops in that thing. And it's like, is anyone going to ask a real question? Oh, the Beef Wolf has to do it. My question to you is this. You said multiple times about the pressure on Pedro. There's no pressure on him. There's not one person's going to hold this man accountable. He's a 3-year deal. When he gets to year 2.5, that's when they start holding him accountable. 0%. If this team falls on his face next year, he will get no blame whatsoever. And if this team finishes 87-75, he'll get all the credit for the 6-win delta between last year. Guaranteed. I was going to ask you guys earlier on, who gets coddled more, Pedro or Andrew Vaughn? You know, and I think it's going to be Pedro. Pedro will get coddled more than Andrew. He will be so loved no matter what the hell he does. There'll be a small sector of the weirdo, and my boy Ken W. is in this, the weirdo like TLR defenders, which are mostly insane. They will be all over this guy, but I expect like 2 or 3 blogs to actually be critical of them. And Josh, I hope you're one of them, because I'm a little worried about you. Usually you're very right in the middle. You give real opinion. I'm a little worried about you. I'm going to see how we do. So why do you think that it's like there's no expectations, not for him. The team maybe from us.
Yeah,
but no one's going to blame him.
Well, we did get this question earlier from our friend Aloha Mr. Hand. If 2003 goes bad, are we looking at a rebuild in 2024? And I think the chances are very high.
Yeah.
2023 is a critical year for the Chicago White Sox, and maybe Beef Loaf is right. It's not on Pedro Grifol to save the White Sox in 2023. It's on somebody's shoulders. They cannot fail in 2023. If 2022 repeats in 2023, you are looking at a little bit of an exodus. They're not bringing back Giolito. They're not bringing back Rondal. Oh, we got money saved. They're not spending it. And then they may look to make some trades because some guys are going to be the last years of their contract, and they're going to call it a reload. Not a rebuild, we're reloading. And then Andrew Vaughn suddenly becomes expensive because he enters arbitration in 2024. God fucking damn it. They didn't time this right again.
No.
So you know what? Beef, you are right. Pedro Grifol is not going to receive the blame because he's new. This is his first year managing. Yeah. This is not his fault. It's Rick Hahn's fault.
No, that's wrong.
Wishful thinking. That's
not
Kenny
going to
Williams
happen.
is quiet quitting.
No, they're going
to turns 87 in February. I get it. There's still Teflon on, but it's getting thin.
No, because the way that they're going to do it is they're going to do the reload, and they're going to get rid the guys that they get rid of. Those are the guys that were the problem.
The core that they built during the rebuild.
You know what?
Yes, they are the problem.
Jose Abreu.
Moncada was the problem. Tim Anderson was a problem.
That's right.
Tim Anderson's other baby mama.
They're going to lay it off on those guys if it doesn't work out this year, and they're going to trade those guys and be like, these guys, we're rid of the problems, and now we can have our good clubhouse, and things are going to be right back on track in 6 years. Don't fire me.
But you make a good point, Beef. So accept.
Bless you. I appreciate that. Now let's get on to my free agents. This is where I hope you guys are critical of this. And I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts on this. My first and these are all small free agents, but I think they all fit into the roster here. My first free agent is David Peralta, 1 year, $8 million. And David Peralta was pretty mad after he got traded at the deadline to the Rays. He wasn't terrible, but he wasn't as good as he had been. The 2 things with Peralta. One, he still hits right-handed pitching well. Last year, he was 116 WRC plus for a career. He's 121. I'm seeing this strictly as a platoon. He's just going to hit against right-handed pitching. 2, he was still a good defender in left field. 5 outs above average. And that's a huge delta between what Andrew Vaughn did last year. So you got big gains here for a very small contract. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's enormous, right? I mean, it's like this is a huge edge here. I saw a lot of ideas about Jock Peterson. The problem is Jock Peterson's a butcher in left, so he's got to hit, right? So it's got where with Peralta, I'm flattening out the risk a little bit. I think the defense will be good enough to carry it, and then if he hits like you think he can hit, that one's going to be fine. Thoughts?
Okay. I like the idea. He's got to stay healthy in order for the platoon to work. Are you platooning David Peralta and AJ Pollock?
Effectively, yes. That's my
This
right.
is one of the most expensive platoons in Major League Baseball. So it's right up the White Sox alley. $21 million thrown at left field. I don't know if either guy's going to play. I don't think either guy's going to play more than 80 games this season, but we're throwing $21 million at it.
If either guy gets
Brandon Nemo, we got AJ Pollock.
We got these guys. Yeah, that's where our money's spent. Exactly. The money will be spent on mediocrity. That's how we do it. We're a huge underdog for either of these guys to get 400 plate appearances. But the coverage will be good, I think.
There's no incentive for Pollock to get plate appearances this year.
That's right, so they'll sit him now.
Tony La Russa loved this idea, so all right, that's a good start.
All right, my next deal, number 2, we need a starting pitcher, but we're going to be shopping in the bargain bin. You and I had talked a little bit, and I didn't want to steal the Sean Manaea idea, so I picked another guy that I think is a little bit more up Ethan Katz's alleyway here of guys who could fix. It's either got to be overwhelming stuff guys or really athletic guys, and so Vince Velasquez was like that last year. I'm signing Michael Lorenzen. 1 year, $7 million. Last year was the first year he was a starting pitcher. He made 18 starts. He got hurt a little bit during the middle of the year, whatever. But as a full-time starter, he was fine. And I wonder if Katz could work him up because he's an athlete. And when I say he's an athlete, he's been a two-way player basically his entire career until last year in which he was made a starting pitcher. So I give him 1 year, $7 million with a team option for 2024 for $10 million and a $1 million buyout. So he's not that expensive and also like a little unproven. But you got kind of an athletic guy here. In theory, you kind of have Davis Martin right behind him, but I'm like Treasy. I want to build up some depth. Like, we have fucking nothing down there. I need to sign the starter, and I don't think we could afford much more than this. So I'm going to go.
I had Lorenzen in my plan, and I thought, he's too expensive for my team. I need minor league deals only. So he got bounced out. But I like the idea. It's the injury risk is high though.
It's high for sure. Yeah. No,
it's not quite Alex Wood, but it's close.
It's a lottery ticket. Yeah, you're throwing a lottery ticket here, and if you got 18 or 20 starts out of this guy for this price, and he gave you the 4.25 ERA he had last year, you'd be fine with that. That's okay. That's you didn't fail too badly on that thing. You didn't hit a home run, but it's okay. The aforementioned Vince Velasquez is my third. 1 year, $3 million again. I just long man sliding in occasionally in other spots. My last signing is a strange one because he was terrible last year. We're changing his role. We want to do something totally different with him, and that's Michael Pineda. I'm going to sign him for 1 year and $2.5 million. Okay, Michael Pineda fucking sucked in 2022. He was horrible. Velocity down, all this stuff. He was fat. Not as fat as Jesus Montero, who he was once traded for, Treasy. Remember that trade?
Oh, my
God.
God.
And Jesus Montero went to Seattle, and it's an offseason he put on 40 pounds.
It was like that. It was like the most insane weight gain you've ever seen. It was like Eric Cartman in South Park weight gain, like where like he had to purposely do it. Like he just like had to be mad that he got traded. He's like, I'm getting fat. Like Nate Newton when he left the NFL and he said, I'm getting seriously fat now. Yeah. Like that's what he did.
But Jesus Montero, prime of his career, he didn't give a shit. He's like, well, how did you gain so much weight in the offseason? I just ate. That's what that's his quote. We could see that. So I'm bringing in Pineda, and the thing is, like, he stunk out loud. But the slider is still a great pitch. And I just bring him in and tell him, they're throwing 70% sliders. We're just bringing you in. You're going to be a one-inning guy. You're just going to throw this slider almost all the time. No one hits it, really. This is about the only thing you can do at this point. And then we'll see where it goes from there. If it works, he starts sliding up the pecking order. He's not in the 6th inning or whatever. And he moves up because a lot of relievers get by on one pitch where they have one thing to put you off balance and just one pitch to get through 3 hitters or 15 pitches or whatever. So, I agree with Tadhito. Pineda could be the ass replacement for Engel. A little different shape. His is wider, but also very big and juicy.
juice is the
Josh,
best.
what do you think? Am I way out in left field on this thing?
I don't think you're out in left field with any of these signings. These are very White Soxy signings here that you are pitching, which has me a bit concerned. But no, I understand the angles that you're coming from, so they're not terrible.
Okay, all right, non-terrible so far. All right, now let's get into these trades.
That's basically a Josh GFY right there. Just so
you know what that was?
Home, that's his GFY.
MSS. That was when you would drink a beer that Goose Island want us to promote. RIP.
Yeah.
And you didn't like
Gator
it,
Brown.
and you would say this beer tastes like. If you like this style of beer, you'll like this. That's when you knew you didn't like the beer. You're just like, okay, well, I got to advertise it, so I'm gonna get it out there. That's what Josh did right there. He's like,
if you like Golden
these
Ale,
moves suck, but they're not insane.
The Beta Brow Oktoberfest. That's the still.
And they kept giving us more and more. It was great. I loved it.
The best advertisement for Beta Bra Oktoberfest would have been, if you're already drunk, it doesn't taste that bad. That would have been like if I could have had full reins to promote it, that's how I would have promoted it. Like, if you're drunk already, feel free to drink this. It's not that bad. Go ahead, Loaf. I didn't want to take away your thunder.
Oh, no worries, baby. Sorry. So trade number one, we got to start shedding a little bit of money here. So I agree with Josh. I think the best trade piece is Liam Hendricks. I'm trading Liam Hendricks to the Dodgers. I think you did this as well in your plan. But I'm getting a different guy. I'm getting Bobby Miller, who's a top 50 starting pitching prospect. He's one of these guys who is a lot of stuff, but they're not sure if he has the command and can stay in the rotation. It reminds me a lot of Dylan Cease. It gives me Dylan Cease vibes here. And so he's a bit of a project, although you could throw him in the rotation immediately. I wouldn't. I would put him in AAA, and that's kind of how I'm structuring this, is like, there's part of your depth, Treasy. I'm getting him, and I'm getting Nick Robertson, who is a major league ready relief pitcher that will also put in AAA, just kind of waiting out, when we cut Jake Diekman or whatever, like moving a spot opener, or when Garrett Crochet's arm explodes. Whatever happens, we got to add more depth there. So I'm moving.
Or when Zach Davies just disappears.
He gets divorced out of nowhere. Yeah, that's right. So that's trade number one. Trade number two is maybe the most exciting trade in the whole pile. I'm trading Andrew Vaughn to Tampa for Brandon Lau and Joe LaSorsa, who's a left-handed relief pitcher. Now, the deal here is I've seen a lot of talk on the internets about Andrew Vaughn. Well, his trade value is depressed. His trade value is as high as it will possibly be right now. I totally disagree with the depressed thing, because Josh brought up the point earlier in the show. He starts hitting arbitration, and the power hitter guys in arbitration get good raises kind of all along. So I think right now everyone still believes in the pedigree, thinks that that's going to be a guy. And so now is the best time to trade him. If he has even a halfway decent year, there isn't a year he could blow out of where you're like, oh, he's even better trade. He'd have to hit 40 home runs, which I will die if he hits 40 home runs. But he has a normal, progresses a little bit good year, his trade value goes down. He gets more expensive. So I think a team like the Rays would pick him off here. They're a little shy in right-handed power at the first base DH positions. And Brandon Lau is kind of getting squeezed out both by price, because he's expensive for them. I think he's making 5.5 next year and 8.7 the following year. So that's kind of high. That's top 3, top 4 on the Rays payroll. He's also getting squeezed out because there's so many up the middle prospects. So I think he's a great fit for the White Sox. We don't have a second baseman. He hits like a motherfucker. Last year was a down year for him. He had a back injury. That's the deal here. If it's healthy, you want him. If it's not healthy, then you don't make a deal like this. LaSorsa is just the throw-in guy, the squeezed-out 40-man guy they can't protect. I even reached out I couldn't find a lot on him. Even velocity, I just saw stats, which were terrific. Reached out to James Fox. I'm like, you got anything on this guy? You even heard of this guy? He's like, Beef, I'm sorry. I haven't heard anything. I'll look, but I don't know nothing. So, very nondescript, but he is left-handed, and great stats in the upper minors last year. So that's trade number 2. Thoughts? Anyone?
I thought you were gonna have trade number 3 next, but
I do. Yeah.
Oh, he's got another trade. Okay.
I mean, I got no
2
problem
more.
with doing that. I mean, we've talked about that one before, and I like filling second base like that, but to me, I feel like you get something different for Andrew Vaughn. If you package Andrew Vaughn with some things, you could get something bigger, but I don't know. It's tough to gauge there's not a lot of different teams that need him. So it's tough to say that there's a market for him, but I think that you could maybe get a little more than what you're asking for.
And my question is, who's playing first base then? Because you're not signing Jose Abreu, and maybe your third trade
That's a Sheetsburger, Pat.
I mean, I'm just wondering.
It is. I mean, I don't want to surprise the group, but it is a Sheetsburger platoon at first base. We're going to go lefty-righty platoon at first base. We'll get to it kind of at the end when I show my right versus left lineups. But yes, I'm not signing the first base, and a lot of teams don't. A lot of teams leverage the position and use okay, we got these bat guys that can't play a spot. The Sox have a bunch of those guys. How about let's use them? Because what are you going to get in trade for Berger? What are you going to trade for Sheets? Nothing. No one gives you shit for those guys. But they might give you something for Andrew Vaughn. So I'm going in the opposite direction. I'm trading, and I'm hoping I can get a usable platoon. Now, if you look at their career splits, I mean, Berger smashes the hell out of left-handed pitching. And I think Gavin Sheets is like 110 or 111 WRC plus. Fine against right-handed pitching. Not great, but okay. That's what you live with kind of in the near term, in my opinion, at first.
Interesting. Okay.
All right, trade number 3, and this is very familiar to Josh. I'm trading Jorge Vera and Jared Kelly to the Orioles for Anthony Santander. He just fits the roster so well. I know you did him in your plan too. He fits the roster perfectly. He's a switch hitter, plays both corner outfield spots. I'm sure you could shove him at first in a pinch. His platoon splits are fine. Like he hits from both sides reasonably well. I think he hits right-handed better against lefties, but he's league average or league average plus as a left-handed hitter and hits for a lot of power from left-handed side in our park. That works a lot. So I just kind of brought him in just to give Oscar Colas the incubation time, just in case. Let's start him at AAA, let him smash a little more, and then we'll bring him through. Like I don't want to put the pressure on him of him being here to start the year. Last trade is a bit of a wild card. I'm trading Aaron Bummer and Danny Mendick to Seattle, and I'm getting back Kyle Lewis and Justice Sheffield. Okay, now both of these guys will go to AAA, but Kyle Lewis is a big shot, gamble. He went through a terrible knee injury, came back, and the Mariners demoted him and did not put him on the playoff roster. It's like, you're not good enough. And he pouted a little bit when he got the demotion. Then he eventually played at AAA. He hit a bunch. Not a bunch. I think he had 116 WRC plus in AAA after he went down there. He's no longer a center fielder. He's your left field or right field guy, if it all ends up clicking and working right. I don't know that it would. This is a shot in the dark, kind of like, a decade ago Carlos Quentin was, right? It's like, there's a lot of potential here, but will he turn into anything? We'll trade some stuff for him. And Seattle can use, a high-end reliever, basically. I mean, especially with they have a strong left side of the infield, and Aaron Bummer throws a lot of ground balls into that left side. That's perfect. Justice Sheffield's almost written off as a prospect. This is like a last gasp, kind of, we'll give you a shot here. Let's see if we can turn anything. He's more of a throw-in, but the deal's really for Kyle Lewis.
Beef, I feel like when you're dealing with Jerry DiPoto, there's something that you got to throw in something weird. We're gonna throw in the pretzel brat with it, or that's gonna
that's a key.
That's now a Seattle item. That's not a Sox item anymore.
So back to your Brandon Lowe trade, that's almost pretty even using the trade value calculator. So well done, Beef. So I just want to get this straight again. You're trading Aaron Bummer and Danny Mendick for Kyle Lewis and Justice Sheffield. So the Josh Nelson from 2018, my mind is absolutely blown because of the prospect status that both Sheffield and Lewis had.
But
and now all you can get is Aaron Bummer and Danny Mendick. Like, holy
That's
cow.
it, baby. That's it. I mean, I mean, like, at this point, like, Lewis is squeezed out of their outfield, right? Someone has to get her. They were choosing Taylor Trammell to be their fourth outfielder in the playoffs over him. So he's not in a great spot there as far as, like, playing time. There's no corner playing time either. Like, they have a first baseman. Like, it's like there's not like a way to slide him into the lineup at this point, right? I mean, like, now maybe you just keep him as depth and say hope, but it seems like it was a little rocky there that he didn't make the playoff roster, that he got demoted. It seems like a guy they might trade. And Justice Sheffield is horrible. Like, he might be almost done with his career. Like, it might be put him in the bullpen and pray portion of his career. So I thought it was fair, but I don't know. Maybe they still value Kyle Lewis a little higher. I'm not sure.
No, I'm still scrolling trying to find Kyle Lewis in the trade value calculator.
When you take the defense out of the aspect for Kyle Lewis, when you say that he can't play center field anymore, that diminishes his value incredibly. I mean, like that's you move anybody who's a center fielder to one of the corners, and like they're just it's not the same. You're not valuing them the same.
This is a fair trade.
And the calculator
In the trade value calculator. Mariners get minus 0.6 because the trade value calculator views Aaron Bummer as a slight overpay for what he provides. And the White Sox get 0.
Okay.
So the trade is accepted.
It would work.
The trade value calculator.
That's wild.
This is where my mind gets blown. Just the prospect status that Kyle Lewis at Justice Sheffield once had, and all Seattle could get is Aaron Bummer and a dude whose ACL exploded because Adam Hazley ran into him. That's it.
Just a guy for the bench, like a guy who's like he has a couple options. He might be like your 26 man. Like that's what they need.
And I want to know this, and this is just
This is
a
a
layman's
Seattle trade, by the way. So I can say
one time.
Just a layman's version here. Is Baltimore going to be looking to move people off this team that like performed so well at the end of the year? Like, won't they be looking to more like add to the madness? That's
going to be an
on?
interesting. It's going to be an interesting kind of turn of like, are they going to offload some of their outfield depth to further bolster like pitching and things like that, where they're really weak? I think that's going to be the. There's two aspects to it. There's going to be, are they willing to spend a lot of money? And if they are, then they don't need to trade anybody. But if they're not, you got to start pushing off some of those pieces to build up the other pieces of the roster, because like they don't have a complete team when it comes to this.
But they have like a semblance of like a little bit of promise, right? Like they did really well to end the year last year.
Oh, they should be good next year. That should be a good team next year.
But like that division's so difficult to jump ahead of the next team they can't go with the pitching staff that they have. Like it just can't be there. So like are they going to go through? Are they going to pay a bunch of, like Josh, you mentioned this before. If Carlos Rodon opts out, are they going to pay a bunch of money to have a Carlos Rodon on that pitching staff? Or are they going to say, we're going to try and trade for guys? And if they're going to try and trade for guys, they have the outfield depth is where they have the most capital.
Yeah. There's even, excuse me, there's some that suggest that Cedric Mullins could be traded by the Baltimore Orioles. Now, I view that as a pretty far stretch. I don't see that happening, but they'd have to
get overwhelmed, right? They'd have to get overwhelmed to get, because Mullins, even if you don't believe in the bat, tremendous defender in the outfield. Like you might as well just keep him and help the pitching staff.
Yeah, Stowers is coming up. Colton Cowser had a fantastic AAA season. Baltimore's got outfielders. There's already the word on the street is that Baltimore is going to go quote unquote big game hunting for the starting pitching free agents. They're going both after Jacob deGrom and Carlos Rodon. Wow. And it sounds like they're going to try to sign both, not one or the other. They're going to try to sign both to really bolster their starting rotation so they can compete against the Yankees, the Blue Jays, and the Rays next season, the American League East. So that's why there's a lot of people that are listing the Baltimore Orioles in trades. You know, scrolling through the offseason plan projects for Sox Machine, there's a lot of people trying to come up trades with the Miami Marlins because the Marlins desperately need bats and they got pitching that they could afford to move. The Milwaukee Brewers may want to move they may want to move Brandon Woodruff because he's entering his last year at team control with the Milwaukee Brewers, and the Brewers could use more bats. So I like these interesting trades because I can't say no to any of them. And if you go to the trade value calculator, and if it makes sense there, then it is incredibly plausible. You would just destroy White Sox Twitter. Like brains would melt, Beefloaf, if your plan came to fruition. People wouldn't know what to think. They wouldn't know what to believe.
People would hate Brandon Lau immediately. They would say, I hate that guy because he's the guy who they traded Andrew Vaughn for. He would be hated. He would have to kill in this town to like turn it around for himself.
Beef, do you want to take a look at your lineups then?
Yeah, let's put it up there real quick. We'll look at the splits because I tried to build lineups where we have some flexibility here against righties and lefties. So reading for the podcast listeners, the lineup versus right-handed pitching is Tim Anderson leading off. At short, Brandon Lau playing second, hitting second. Eloy DH, Luis Roberts center field. Gavin Sheets on this side of the platoon playing first base, so lefty hitting righty. Santander in right, Moncada at third, Grandal catching, and David Peralta in left field, the aforementioned stopper on defense. And then versus left-handed pitching, Anderson again leading off. A.J. Pollock hitting second in left field. Eloy DHing, Robert in center, Santander in right. Jake Berger at first. So that's where he'd get the weak side of the platoon on this team and any pinch hitting opportunities versus lefties. Moncada at third, Sebi Zavala catching, Brandon Lau at second, a lefty. So there's quite a bit of flexibility here, and you don't have to use Lurie Garcia too much.
I was just going to ask, Beef, wouldn't you in the platoon use Lurie at second base against? I'm just kidding.
Look, Lurie's still very good at grabbing a glove anywhere when it's really necessary.
Where's the
right?
$5 tipper? After you said Lurie Garcia is very good. Like, where is that tipper?
Stop it right there. He's good at picking up a glove when you desperately need it. Or he was good at replacing the real bad outfielder guys that we had out there. We got rid of those. He's also good as a late inning base runner. So, I mean, you just kind of use him as a pinch runner or, Sunday lineup. Maybe that's when he gets his one day of play a week. But, like, use him in those. He's still good at some of this stuff. He just shouldn't play he shouldn't get 400 plate appearances. Don't do that to him.
And as Teresi said, he is very beloved in the clubhouse. Or it appeared to be when he went to the Tim Anderson ping pong tournament. Everyone came to pay their respect. So
that was so interesting. It felt like some Godfather shit.
Yeah, pay a little extra to have a guy that's going to be your fun guy in the clubhouse. I know Larry likes sangria, so maybe he makes some mean sangria. Who knows? We just don't know. Maybe he's really good at something. We just don't know.
I have a off the record Lurie Garcia story.
Oh,
all right,
my goodness.
Well, Josh, I want you to hang around after the show so you could tell us that. But for now,
it's not that exciting. But okay.
Well, do you want to tell it now in front of everybody?
No, because it involves what his license plate is on the new Range Rover he bought after his contract.
Oh, baby.
Oh, snap.
Well, for now, I mean,
FTLR. I get it. I mean,
Josh, we got to let you go, but we really appreciate you coming on here, even though you went to CHGO first. But we do.
You sold us out.
We do.
And I sold them out for WGN. This is what happened.
See how
we do always love having you on the show. I love getting free T-shirts from you, as you can see.
Yes.
And it's always great talking with you. I will be talking with you hopefully this weekend about some Star Wars stuff. But in the meantime, we look forward to having you again. And we definitely have some events coming up, so we will talk to you very soon. And let's get on to.
Thank you,
fellas.
Josh.
We got to get on to the thank yous.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, I love it.
I'm going to go first.
Go for it.
I'm going to go first because I just really want to thank everybody who came out to the show on Saturday. And specifically you two guys. I really appreciate, at my age, I'm 20 years past expecting all my close buddies to make it out to every show.
Sounds about right.
And you guys coming out and MSS, you driving, I appreciate it.
That was great.
When we were driving down to the show from our practice space, our drummer Garrick was like, "I don't even feel like I'm in the same state," and I was like, "Yeah, I feel like you pass 80, and it's like I don't live here. I don't live wherever we're at."
Yeah.
And so it was great to see so many people come out, man. It was a great time. I had a fucking blast, and it was just really a lot of fun to get back out and play. And it's so cool when you're doing that, and there's a lot of familiar faces and a lot of people, just enjoying what you're doing. So I appreciate all of you guys that came out, and just a big thanks to you two guys for you leading the caravan out there. I appreciate it.
Oh, you guys,
you're very welcome. God damn it. Yeah, and you killed. Exactly. You guys absolutely killed. And I think people who had never seen you guys play before, they'd never seen Barren Plains play, were really fucking impressed. You kind of, I'm side-eyeing as I'm enjoying the show. I'm like, people are fucking into this. People are enjoying it,
I feel like it was different too in that, I usually call your band Space Rock. I've retired it. It is gone. It is not coming back again because it was more of a power. It was a lot of power rock. going on. Instrumental power rock. I like am watching everything. I'm watching you get into it and turn into Kim Thale because you liked Soundgarden so much that you became Kim Thale, which was awesome. And somebody else pointed it out. I didn't even have to point it out, so that made me happy. But you guys rocked, and it was a fun night. And also, like that was a great space. It was a great space to go out and just like chill. And also like our fans, unmatched. Our fans, the Tainted Glove guys, all those dudes were there.
Chicago Sports Bums. Those guys were out there. Yeah, I mean,
Nam. Everybody.
Even assholes like Billy Wires and Matt Ramsey and that crew, they were all out there too.
And people are apologizing. You're like, sorry, we can't make it. And it's like, listen.
My guys, Jeff Bartlett, Chris McGowan, they came out.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Chris.
Brian was out there. Yeah.
Beautiful costume out of Brian. Just that Halloween costume on his shirt. I loved it.
That was good stuff. It was
Joey P.
So fun night.
Man.
Good torta. Didn't think I was gonna get a good torta down in fucking Joliet, but I
he ate a torta at the event, and he still lost 5 pounds this week. So good for you.
Mailman Jack messaged me, and he's like, "Man, I'm sorry I couldn't make it, but I saw that they had a Tortilla Hands beer, and I just couldn't think about anything else but you burning your hands making tortillas." And I'll tell you, I drank that all night. That beer was so good.
His hands are too dainty to touch hot silverware, but we'll eat. We'll definitely fire roast tortillas on the thing.
That's right, of course.
MSS, who you thinking, buddy?
So my thank you is a little bit of a story, but not too long because I might be a little drunk. So beginning of the season, I tweet out a picture of Lucas Giolito bobblehead. It is his Star Wars bobblehead or whatnot, and Rick Giolito, his father, says, "I don't even have that one." And I'm like, well, this seems kind of fucking ridiculous. So as a father to another father, I'm like, I'm going to get you the 2 Lucas Giolito White Sox bobbleheads. I know I can get you. I get them for him with the help of Mike and my buddy Southpaw over there at Sox Park. Give me some stuff. We send it out to Rick. Rick gets it. This is the beginning of the season. At the end of the season, I'm not expecting anything. I'm just a dad helping another dad. I get a message from one Rick Giolito with like, hey, sorry it took so long. Just trying to recover from the shittiness that is 2022 baseball season. Just send a package your way. Let me know when you get it. I, like a little girl, am like, yes. And like a kid on Christmas, I'm like, I cannot wait to see what I'm getting. So folks, I'm going to share it with you first. Game used Lucas Giolito cleats. Sent from
Love it.
Mr. Rick Giolito. Now, not only did he send me the cleats, they're autographed by Lucas Giolito, which is pretty dope. They got the 27 on the inside. I mean, these things are amazing.
MSS, what size are those cleats? I want to get how big are the feet here? Let's see.
Size 14, baby.
Bro, I got bigger feet than Gio. He's like 6'6", and I got 15s.
Look at this. This guy has like cracks in his fucking.
Damn, he's working that hard.
I mean, these are used. Now, another thing that I noticed, and this is something that, like, this toe, different, right? There's a little grip here, and then there's a little like thing right here. I thought this was sandpaper, allegedly. I'm like, this is where you stuff up the ball. I was like, Rick Giolito just gave me all the inside sticks.
He did,
So I'm like looking for all the sticky stuff. Can't find it. My man's clean. But it was just interesting. But I also got these. I got the Jackie Robinson Day socks too. He threw in there as like, I don't know if they're game worn, but I don't know how much.
Can you smell them? Just get your nose in there and give it a big whiff, MSS.
I can't smell nothing. But maybe
try harder.
Unfortunately, I mean, I'm sure I could probably sell them in a vending machine in Japan for probably like at least 10,000 yen. I don't know what that translates to American, but whatever. But big shout out to Rick Giolito. Thank you, my man. I did not need anything. I did it as a father to another father, but this just made it really nice. And it definitely bought me points with my father because he was here on Monday going, oh my God, look at these cleats you got. Oh my son is something big. My son is a big man. So how about you, Loaf? Who are you thinking?
That was impressive. You did in under 3 minutes. I
that was good. He kept it nice and tight. Showed the products. He was willing to sniff the socks and also to investigate. I'm surprised. I mean, I guess 14 is acceptable, but I just would have thought he would have bigger feet than that. I would have bigger cloud hoppers. My thank you is going to go to King Nam.
Ooh.
for lighting a fire under my ass in this weight loss competition. I was still going to lose a good amount of weight, regardless. But the night that we went out and saw Treasy's band, that was Saturday night, and Treasy thanked everyone out there. King Nam not only brought to my attention that I calculated an error in the percentage lost for each of the persons. So now all of you are actually fatter than you thought you were. You're much fatter than that. But he also kind of called me out, pushed me a little bit, and said he was coming for me. He's going to be lighter than me. And it ended up in a weight loss bet, a side bet to this thing between me, him, and Lil Yumper. Whoever is the heaviest out of the three of us on March 9th owes the other two guys a dinner, a steak dinner we're shooting for right now. And the lightest person gets to pick. So right now, Nam and I are feeling pretty good that we're going to cook by Yump, and we're already trying to hustle each other out to see who gets the pick. But I think Nam and I both like the idea of Gene and Giorgetti's. So that's probably where we're going to end up with this.
See,
so I'm glad that you did that.
I thought you were going to go Outback Steakhouse, but in Casino Royale in Vegas.
It's got to pay for the flights and everything.
Yes. This is a $4,000 dinner.
I'm happy he did this because, last year we did it as a fun thing, and MSS and I pushed each other pretty hard. Teresa, you were you were a little further behind than us. This year, I kind of felt like MSS he kind of stayed close to his finishing weight there. And I needed a little more incentive. I know what I want to get down to. I started the weight loss at 275. I want to get to 225. That would be ideal for me on March 9th. And I think the best way to do it is for a fucking lunatic like King Nam being in it and us fighting over who's going to do it. Because he's competitive. I'm competitive too, believe it or not. The Beef Loaf is actually competitive.
Yeah.
And so we're going to go at each other. So bless you, King. I appreciate your competitiveness. We'll drive each other, baby.
What did you end on last year? What did you end?
250.
250?
And I weighed in this morning at 257.6.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty close to my last year's weight already.
But
so
you're going low. You want to go about another what?
25 pounds. I'm going to go another 25 pounds. So I want to go 50 pounds total over the 6 months. 50 pounds I want to lose.
I can't imagine, and Teresa, we were talking about this morning, that I can't imagine him losing that much weight. How much bigger his nose is going to be on it. It's not going to be any bigger, legit. But, everything else is going to be so small.
He said my nose would look bigger, but my dick wouldn't. That's what he told me. He's like, your dick's not going to look any bigger, but your nose will look bigger.
And then
you know why? You know why?
No, it probably will be bigger.
No, MSS, you're right. You know why? You're a big bush guy. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you very soon.